just gonna like, I'll just like look behind you. I'll look up here. I'll look around. I'll look at the mic. I'll look at your forehead. And every once in a while, I'll look you in the eyes.
Look at my eyes.
This is freaking me out, man.
Glasses.
Are we rolling?
Yeah. Have you done a podcast?
I have done many podcasts.
Awesome. Okay.
I don't know why people keep asking me to do podcasts. I'm like,
I mean, to be fair, I didn't ask you. You know, you're just here, sleeping 3 feet over there, and I don't have a choice.
I know, we're right. I literally was sleeping.
Your bed is right there on my air
air
mattress. We just got done doing an awesome session.
Mm-hmm.
Sounded great, by the way. You were too hard on yourself.
I am nobody, and people keep asking me to be on their podcasts. Not since Steve Albini have you had such a distinguished guest with the crowns of heaven and the laurels of earth as Rob Joynes. But here I am, here to talk about it. And so
tell the people who you are and what you do.
My name's Rob Joynes. I'm from Seattle. I make music, and I'm in 3 projects right now. I have a band called Fell Off, a band called Sunnyland, and I make music by myself under my name, Rob Joynes, and that's what I do.
And people can find this music on the internet?
Everywhere that music is available.
All the places.
Yeah.
Title?
I don't know. I mean,
Did you go through like DistroKid or CD Baby?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
it's everywhere.
Bandcamp?
Yeah. Sometimes I unclick Amazon Music just because I hate Amazon. But then I kind of stopped doing that because I was like, I didn't want to make it like less accessible.
The thing I have about individuals who cherry pick which massive billion-dollar tech company, it's like, what phone do you have?
Right.
What websites do you use?
Exactly.
You think Spotify isn't a billion-dollar company?
I think I used to do that. I think I just have like a personal vendetta against Amazon.
You sound like Trevor. He's so against Amazon, yet for some reason he'll use everything else. It's like there's at that high of a level, there's no difference.
I live in Seattle.
They exploit.
So I think that's why. It's because it's
Starbucks.
so
Starbucks,
visible.
Huh?
We're okay. Come on now. we just started.
I'm gonna stare. You must only like grunge, Nirvana, and Starbucks, and maybe Death Cab for Cutie, and it ends there. Perhaps Soundgarden.
The visibility of what Amazon has done to Seattle is like so everywhere.
Describe it. I've never been to Seattle. It's one of the few big American cities I haven't been to. So let me and the people know. And you've been living there for how long, Seattle?
10 years.
Okay, so you know it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's home, go Hawks. And so South Lake Union is the Amazon campus. And if you were just
the headquarters there?
It's there's like 1 million skyscrapers and like up like 100,000 like techies with like badges on walking around. And if you like were to go there as just like a normal civilian, like I went and just like walked around with my partner and was just like, it's like a model city blown up to scale. Like it's bizarre. It feels like Bizarro World.
Was it like this 10 years ago?
No.
When did this start happening?
Well, it was, I mean, I guess it started like 10, 12 years ago.
Like right when you moved there?
Yeah. It used to be more of like an industrial kind of part of town, but it's like the whole skyline has changed in 10 years. We call it the Amazon crane forest. It's just like 30 cranes.
And you think it has
perpetually
to do
building
because of
skyscrapers?
Amazon?
I don't think it just is. Like it's obvious. Like,
yeah.
A lot. Yeah. These buildings are weird. They're like a lot of them are vacant. I don't know.
Why are they vacant?
Because they built them so fast that they're like there's nobody in them yet. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like it's I don't really understand how all that works. But I don't go to South Lake Union. Like, that's not like a place.
Right.
If you live in Seattle, you don't go there.
Right.
Like,
I don't go to the places where it's
right.
tech heavy and finance heavy in Chicago. Not often. When I do, I know I'm there. You know when you know you're there. Like, yeah, this is different. I have a list of stores you will see when you know you are there. And I'll give you this is my fun list. This is just anecdotal, but you'll see a Lululemon, Warby Parker, Molly's Cupcakes or Jenny's Ice Cream, one or both. Some brick and mortar like flower boutique looking shops. What else? You'll see
a Panera Bread.
You'll definitely see like a Panera and Chipotle, maybe like a Blaze Pizza or something. And I'm trying to think of like the nicer, what are some other like really nice, obvious stores? The biggest one to me is always going to be like a Lululemon Warby Parker. Like that's how you know. And then again, like I don't know if you guys have Molly cupcakes and Jenny's ice cream out there, but it's a give because they're like high end cupcakes and high end ice cream. Like the ice cream, you'll get like 2 scoops for like $10.
We have a thing called Molly Moons. I've never been to it though. I mean, we have a
okay.
lot of like
or Starbucks Reserve, not Starbucks, but Starbucks Reserve.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've never heard of that. But
It's like the fancy Starbucks.
we have like artisanal ice cream and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And there's always like a group of dorks like lined up outside to get in, and I'm like, who are these people? Like,
they probably think you're a dork too.
I'm like, I can't imagine being an adult man and standing in line for more than 10 minutes for ice cream. Like,
so Seattle has a big tech boom as of the last decade.
certainly.
And why Seattle? Because it used to be San Francisco and like New York. And now I know Chicago's also
Well,
been
Google
doing
is headquartered in Seattle. Microsoft is from Seattle. T-Mobile the Mariners play at T-Mobile Park, you know. Across the water from us, if you take 520 or I-90, the bridges go to Bellevue, which is its own city that's like got skyscrapers and stuff, but it just like it faces Seattle across the water. And also like a place where I just can't imagine going. It exists there. I don't know what's going on over there.
You never been?
I mean, I have, but
What kind of is this a nice area?
yeah, it's got like a mall that has like Gucci and Louis V. And
Is it where a lot of the people who work at the tech companies live?
I don't know. You're asking me all kinds of questions.
I figured you would know after living there for 10 years.
Yeah, but like, you know, Seattle's like any other city. It's just like a series of small towns, and like you don't leave your neighborhood necessarily. Like, I mean, there are like the places I go. I'm in Capitol Hill, I'm in Ballard, and I'm up north where I live. Like
What neighborhood do you live in?
I'm not gonna like get into specifics, but I
What region?
don't dox me, bro.
Oh my
God. I live in like Shoreline.
First of all, you go by a fake last name.
Right.
And your first name is Rob.
I
That's
know,
not a popular name.
A lot of red flags.
No one's gonna find you.
No, I'm not worried about that. I just like I don't want it to make it sound like I don't live in Seattle because I live in Shoreline, which is technically a different municipality. So I don't have a Seattle address anymore.
Poser.
I know. I was really
kidding.
sad when we moved up there a year ago. I was really sad to lose my Seattle address.
Oh.
Luckily, I don't mail my own merch. Like other people do that for me. So I used to have to put my return address, like, and it said Seattle on it. So I was like, cool, yeah, 'cause like I'm from Seattle. But like it would be a bummer if I had to put Shoreline on the return address.
What's
when I'm,
up
like,
with
mailing.
that? And people they need like the big city name to feel like authentic, like they got it. Because I didn't have it until a year ago.
I don't know what that is.
I never really got it.
I never thought about it.
I never had. I was in Hickory Hills, and people were like, "Hickory Hills."
You're
I'm
right.
Like, I'm outside
It's
Chicago.
preposterous. I shouldn't feel any type of way about it.
It is preposterous.
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 Preposterous. No editing on this podcast.
No
he said.
editing. Editing.
We're going to talk for 2 hours. No editing. He said.
We're going to
Maybe
spend
longer.
a lot of time trying to figure out how to pronounce words. Yeah, I don't know. The city. It's an obsession specifically with bigger cities like New York, Chicago, L.A., Dallas, Miami, Seattle, Oregon, San Francisco. It's not Portland, rather. People want to have that name for some reason, especially like in an art scene. Probably the same if you're like in the tech finance scene. Like, oh, I live in in New York. I live in Manhattan, or I live in Los Angeles or San Francisco. But I don't know. It is definitely a flex. And how I know that is I never lived in it. I lived in a small suburb outside a major city. And I saw how the Chicago individuals, sometimes, not all, would flex it or not take you seriously if you weren't in the city.
I think maybe like unpacking the reason why I feel that way is probably also just because it's almost like a branding thing. It's like people know
the brand of love.
Like it says
love and hate that word.
that Seattle on all of my stuff, on all my social media, on my Bandcamp, all these things. Like it says I'm from Seattle. So like where the fuck is Shoreline? You know what I mean? And literally if you go like 3 blocks south of my house, you're in Seattle.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
right
a
there.
suburb.
Yeah.
And I live in the suburbs now. It's very weird. I don't like living in the suburbs.
Why not? Why'd you move? Why leave the city?
Because I got a very good opportunity to live with in-law situation, family that is very affordable and a very, very good situation for me, my partner, and
In-law,
my dog.
you're married?
No, I call them my in-laws because we've been together for 9 years.
You looked like you had a brain
I'm a
glitch.
goddamn liar.
You had a brain glitch. I'm just like, wait, so you don't live in Seattle. You're not married.
This isn't your real
You
last
won't say your
name.
neighborhood. You haven't been to all the other neighborhoods. You don't know other big 500, Fortune 500 companies are there. Who am I even talking to? This podcast has changed to unveil the lies of Rob.
Yeah, I call them my in-laws because it's like shorthand for like my partner's family.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we've been
yeah.
together for 9 years. We're
It's
technically
wild.
in like a domestic
Civil union
partnership.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
under the eyes of the law. Or
Really?
whatever.
Are you? That's how it works, right?
I guess.
I'm sure it's state by state.
Yeah.
So you've been together since you were 21?
Yeah.
Wow. Same age?
Yeah. Yeah. We're like a month and a half apart.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cute.
2 months apart. Yeah. And so it was just a really good situation for us. And Seattle's just one of those places where you gotta hustle to live there because it's so expensive, and you gotta like figure things out. And I think it's really hard for people who move away to move back because you need to like be there to find the housing and like,
You know what to do and where to go
Yeah.
and what's a good area but not too expensive yet.
anyone who's lived there for like as long as I have generally like has like friends and connections that will keep them there,
yeah.
so I can like, when this situation ends, I will find another. I like the cockroach. I am an opportunist, and you cannot get rid of me. I will not get priced out of this city. You know what I mean?
So it's gotten expensive there?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
everywhere?
yeah, everywhere. It's not very big. I mean, it's like very dense.
It's not. What's the population like? 700,000 or something?
Oh, it's like a mill, but like it's the metropolitan area. I don't know.
I think the city proper is like 700.
I don't know the demographics. I don't know the company.
I'm
I don't know
I'm
fucking
gonna guess
anything.
745,000. I'm looking it up right now. Just city proper.
Price is Right rules.
Oh, I hate that. Trevor always does that.
I don't know. I just said that.
He's always like, Price is Right. Like, dude, this Price is Right rules makes no sense for anything but the Price is Right. This is why we need a producer to look it up first. Okay, let's see. My guess.
You heard it here first. The population of Seattle
What did I
is-
say it was?
I don't know.
I said
700,000.
I said 740.
Oh, okay.
Look at that.
I can't read that. My eyes are no good.
737,000.
Okay.
I was off by 3,000. All right, that was a shot in the dark.
It's also like a big area. There's a lot of suburbs. There's Tacoma. There's Bellevue. There's like other cities like in the area. So it's like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like a big city, but it's like not that big. It's like one of those like medium big cities. And I mean, I'm in the city every day because I work on Capitol Hill. So like, and I either take light rail in or I drive in.
That sounds fancy. What's up with Capitol Hill? Because I just think Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's like it was the gay neighborhood, like in the 80s and 90s, and like
By gay, you mean homosexual?
yeah.
How? I mean happy sometimes when they say gay.
Who in America?
Our grandparents in 1938?
Yeah, it was the gay old neighborhood.
He was gay, and it was great.
Back in the 20s, it was the gay old neighborhood, and there was.
So was this bumping like the 70s gay, like that kind of gay?
I don't know. But and it was like.
I forgot. You don't know the history. You don't know the geography.
Yeah, exactly. There's like some there's like, oh, like Kurt Cobain hung out here at this diner. Like it's like that kind of neighborhood, like, and I'm sure like every place claims that Kurt Cobain hung out there or whatever, but, and it's Kurt like
Cobain spilled his milk here.
yeah, it's a bar neighborhood. It's I would say like people who aren't, okay, so a lot of people come into my bar. I work in a bar. I'm a bartender, okay?
You're not going to say which one.
I work at the Cha-Cha Lounge.
Oh, you'll say that, but you won't say Cha-Cha Lounge, like Cha-Cha, real smooth out.
Exactly.
Okay.
And people will come in from out of town and, they'll ask me like, oh, what's good around here, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, well, like people will say like, oh, I was sent to Capitol Hill. Everyone told me to come to Capitol Hill because like that's where it's popping off. Like that's where the clubs are or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like Monday or whatever, you know? I'm like, you're not gonna find anything. This isn't LA. Like, you know, like we're a secret podunk town and everything closes at like 10 p.m. on Monday, you know? Like, I was like, you're in the wrong neighborhood.
What'd you say, secret what?
Podunk town.
What's
like,
that?
Like boonies. Like, it's like, you know, like we just like people go to bed, like the train stops running at midnight on weekdays.
I get it, yeah.
You know, it's not,
things go down early.
it's not a 24-hour, like,
Yeah.
you know, like New York never sleeps, Seattle sleeps a lot.
New York, I would say the only places I've been to that feel like, not all of it, but a majority or chunks of the city are going 24/7, 7 days a week would be like New York, LA, New Orleans, and Miami.
There's a Cha-Cha Lounge in LA and owned by the same people. It's like our sister bar. And they have a DJ 7 nights a week.
Nice.
Like, and it's like, you know, and I'm like, what's that like? We're not even open on Sundays.
What is it like to go out like Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays?
It would be great for me. Like,
oh yeah, you stay up late.
Yeah, it would be great for me if I had something to do. I can't even go get something to eat.
What's your vitamin D intake like? Because you stay up late and you sleep in late because of your job.
I mean, you don't need to see the sun, right? It's optional.
You do need to see the sun. You do need vitamin D.
Look at me. I'm not pasty white.
You need that D, that vitamin D.
Yeah, I need that D. That's true. I don't know. Like that's just the thing is that like I don't see the sun anyways, like for, you know, from like between November and March because it's just raining the whole time. So what does it matter if I'm awake at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m.? What's the difference?
The sun is still there. Is there daylight? Can you see outside?
It's just gray and raining.
But like today.
Out like here in Chicago.
Yeah.
Here in Chicago it is gray and raining.
Right. But there's
now.
still sunlight. It's just diffused. It's still hitting you though.
You think that you are actually getting the benefits of the sun, even if it's pouring rain and you have a hood up?
Yes, more than if
you're
not
wearing a big hat and a jacket.
More than if you're just in a dark basement.
So
or
like
a bar.
the
Dude,
5 square inches
you
of
got
your
hands
face,
and face
that is exposed to the
and eyes. It's something. It's better than nothing. Well, that's why there's a dip in the winter for everyone. People get more sick. People gain weight because of that.
So just like. December and January are like the busy season for the music scene in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like there's so many shows happening. Like, so I don't know if that's true. I feel like everybody during the summer.
Who are you talking? You're talking about young people. I'm talking about like 50, 60, 70-year-olds. I'm talking about the old people. Young people.
Like you.
Yeah. I'm about.
You're like 3 or 4 years old.
I'm a little old. I tell my students, like, listen, I have 2 rules. Talk to me like I'm 80 and no acronyms, okay? Like, those are my rules.
No acronyms? What do you mean?
People just say, like, BFF. Like, I'll keep it simple, but,
Sure.
Like,
you don't know what BFF means.
I know
so
what
you
that
don't
means
be
now.
Confused
but they'll say
by the youngins.
There's so many young acronyms, like just stuff I've never heard of. They'll shorthand everything, those lazy bastards. They'll shorthand everything. I'm like, can you just say it? Because the time it takes you to explain it to this old fool, which I am, you could have just said the
Crime
phrase.
Man Squad, FNC Double Time, right? Yeah.
I don't know what you
That's
just
from
said.
The Office. Crisis Management Squad, front and center.
Right, exactly. That episode
Hollywood.
where he keeps doing that.
Right, yeah.
I'm just like, just no acronyms and talk to me like I'm an old man. Because I don't know.
Your students are like traditional college age.
Yeah, between 18 and 25. I'll get a couple that are probably like in their late 20s. I've had one that was like in their 50s, one in their 40s, but it's rare. Most are between 18 and 25.
I just like the idea of like a bunch of 19-year-olds in a room with one 50-year-old guy. They're all on their phones and he's just like staring at you.
Asking questions and taking it seriously and following all the rules and shows up every time.
You and him are the only 2 people in the room and there's like a bunch of 19-year-olds like just scrolling.
I love and definitely get frustrated with it, but I do learn a lot. It keeps me young and sharp. I'm aware of a lot of the technologies going on, but what I have noticed is not to toot my own horn of my generation, but the millennial, that 1980 to 1996 era, because we were integrating slowly from analog to digital technology, from tube to transistor to microprocessors, we had to learn how to interface from an analog to digital world. So we know how to do the digital thing in an analogous way, where we can make sense of stuff. We had to know about kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and understand computers and how to make signal flow work with TVs and stereos and whatnot. because we've gone all wireless and cloud and uploading and downloading with large capacitance now with like terabyte hard drives and whatnot, students don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They could just, everything can just be sent cloud, drive without worrying about data rate, compression rate, ratios. They don't have to worry about any of that stuff because it's gotten so big. When this technology first came out, you had, floppy disks, kilobytes of size you can hold. So you had to take size into consideration. You couldn't just do whatever you want all the time. There was no cloud to save to. You didn't have phones that have terabyte solid hard drives on them now. You couldn't store stuff on Google Drive. So
what a horrible world we lived in.
What I'm saying is...
We were with the apes back then,
What I'm saying is they're really good at certain things, but they're terrible. And this is what I've seen universally. This is anecdotal, but this is what I've witnessed with hundreds, if not thousands of people in that age group at this point. They're really, really bad with understanding how things work fundamentally and how to do things in a physical world because they've never had to. So it's not their fault. It's part of their upbringing. They never had to. If you go back further behind us, everyone knew how to do stuff in an analog world really well, and they couldn't figure out digital stuff. So we're in this weird transition period, if we're about the same age, where you grew up learning how to physically have to do the thing and integrate it with technology. So now when you work with technology, you can kind of make sense of both sides of it.
I guess the question is, would you rather, though, be able, live in a world where you can make a table or live in a world where you can make a meme? You know what I mean?
Or a table meme.
Grandma can't make a meme, but Grandma be making tables all day.
I rather know how to do both. So I try my best to know how to do both and not be married to either. But
I'm
definitely
not convinced that I understand your premise and the explanation. I'm not convinced that it's true.
No.
I don't know if I know a lot of really stupid old people that are
No, I'm not saying they're smart. I also know a lot of stupid old people.
Or just that
I'd
they
say wise.
refuse to learn to do anything.
No, of course. That's what I'm saying. That you're proving my point. They stopped when it came to the digital world. They're really good with the analog world.
Maybe.
You gave them a home sound system from 1980, and they're setting that thing up.
Or paying somebody to.
They're setting it up, dude. They're like, okay, that speaker, you're going to plug the cable in, RCA. Okay. As soon as it comes to HDMI and Bluetooth and connecting to Wi-Fi, they're stupid as hell. And then you get to the millennials, we had to learn how to do both and integrate because we were part of that. We were losing the analog world. We're growing out of it and integrating into the digital world, into streaming, into OLED TVs, into smartphones. Now, the generation born in the last 20 years, they missed the analog world. They didn't have to learn to integrate because they missed that era of time to integrate, and now they're just into the digital world. So they're really good at understanding the internet and all the things about it, and the Reddits and the this and the 4chan. The whole thing, they're like wizards with it, and gaming and you name it. But when it comes to, hey, how do you plug this thing in and make this signal go through, and what does that data rate mean, and all of that, they're lost because they never grew up having to understand it because everything's always been really high quality in their life in the digital world. High quality, great internet speed, no SBC Yahoo dial-up from 1999, not Napster because you have Spotify now for a couple bucks a month, streaming high quality audio. Now on iTunes Music or Apple Music, you can get wave audio streaming on Tidal too. This is unheard of. When I was downloading music illegally on App Store in 1999,
news to me.
Right?
2 years.
You know why it's news to you? Because how old are you?
30.
All right. You see my point? If you were 18, you probably would have found that out by now because it's the digital world and you know it really well. I only know it because they told me.
This is my podcast and I'm interviewing you, but I'm just kidding. I do have a question though about since you're a teacher.
By this way, this is all my anecdotal thought and experience. I'm not saying this is definitive.
Well, okay, and this gets back to that. So this is paralleling this theory that that premise. So you teach audio stuff.
Yeah.
And this man, I'm looking at the camera now for you listening at home. This man teaches 6 different classes at 2 different universities. The busiest man in America. And a lot of this audio stuff, are these people who are interested in recording acoustic instruments and bands? Like I see a drum kit over here and guitars and traditional instrument bands, the American rock band sound, or are they interested in making beats or electronic stuff?
The face you made when you said that.
I was trying to
give you an exact number that's loose and not exact, so I'll contradict myself.
Okay.
I would say it's 80-20, maybe 75-25. 75 into the digital domain of MIDI, sampling, sound mashing of mixing and taking stuff, like ripping stuff off the internet and making new music out of it, which is kind of like sampling, but a little bit more piratey. Digital age, not many people have microphones. I constantly berate my students, like, buy a microphone. I don't care if it's a used SM57 for $50 on eBay. Get it.
Wait.
They don't own microphones. Like, barely anyone has a microphone. Barely.
This is my brain exploding. That's crazy.
When I went to Columbia, when I started there, I had like 15 microphones. I had the 414s we recorded with today already.
Yeah.
My professor's like, you have all this? I was like, bro, I'm serious.
I feel like I consider myself to be a Luddite, and I use no less than 3 microphones if I'm just demoing something.
A lot of it is DJ, producer, samples, production-based electronic music, which is fine. That's all. I love that stuff. It's great stuff. I'm not against that at all. I'm saying you should do both.
Right.
You need to know both.
Especially, I think that it's there's like a real we want to be them, they want to be us thing going on in the music world right now, where like it seems like a lot of, I'm hearing these like white indie artists like start to use auto-tune stylistically in a way that like hip hop artists would, and I'm starting to see like artists like Travis Scott team up with Tame Impala and James Blake, and like these more Bon Iver, like these like acoustic indie artists, and I think it's like it's beautiful, but it's also like, okay, you don't have to. I get like we're all like excited about genre blending and the different things going on, but sometimes I do feel like a weird pressure to make things that I wouldn't just naturally make because there's so much that's so accessible now. Mm-hmm. I have had to like, stop myself from making like weird, Alex G ass choices on, on certain things that I'm working on, where I'm like, but I'm gonna make it weird, man. I'm gonna like do a crazy vocal effect, and it's like, yeah, it's not, if it's not the right choice for the project, then don't just do it for the sake of making a stylistic choice. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I don't know.
And conversation there.
Yeah, I also consume like a lot of hip hop, a lot of. I am. We were talking in the car earlier about. I was like, "Are you a heavy rotation guy or like a new music every day guy?" And you said both, but I tend to be like a new music every day. Like it, I am obsessed with the idea that you could listen to new music all day long and never have to hear the same song twice.
Oh, absolutely.
For your entire life.
That's true for music. It's true for fine art. It's true for writing and reading. It's true for film and television. I mean, there's a big pet peeve is when people, especially our age, they're getting to that point where they're still living on that high of when they were 18 and discovered some cool music, and they think there's no good music, there's no good movies. I hear it all the time. Like, yes, there is. There's amazing music coming out. There's amazing movies, amazing films, amazing television. It's just how you get to it is slightly different. What it looks like is different. And if you don't grow with it and be open and accepting to it, you will build up that membrane that keeps you insulated to your old music.
It's very new to me. Like, as I just crested 30, that like the idea that people are like now stuck in one like era of music.
It takes until our age for that to start happening.
Yeah, that's new to me, and I'm just like, oh my God, God help me. Like, because like if that ever happens to me, because I am so obsessed. I'm like, I might wake up today and be like, I don't know, I've never heard Cameroon whistling music before. Like, that's like, I'm going to check that out. Like, that's the,
That's good though. It's healthy to keep growing with it.
And I love hip hop shows. I think like hip hop is in a very special place right now in terms of, how excited young people are about it. And like when I go to these shows, and I just went and saw this artist called Jaleel. I went with my friend and bandmate from Fell Off, Ryan, who we were in the 21 plus section. It was like a 21 plus and all ages venue. And he's grabbing a drink, and I'm looking around, And I'm like, oh my God, Ryan, we're in the parents section. We're the oldest people who are here for this show and not for our kids to go to this show.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had to go out and mosh and like, you know,
Be with the kids.
I don't know how much of like I have left in me of being able to like go to like a hip hop music festival and like actually like be sardined in with a bunch of kids and like moshing just because I'm getting physically exhausted from it and like my knees are really starting to hurt like and stuff.
You're also tall. You're blocking those poor kids' view.
Well, you know, if you're at like a big, huge like music festival, the stage is so tall.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and also like if you go see like Playboy Cardi or something, it's like circle pits everywhere. So they're not even concerned about like looking at the stage so much as we are just like
it's about the
moving
atmosphere
around
and stuff.
Yeah, it's like what nu metal was, you know. That
Creed.
You know?
Trevor and I had a fun Creed night a few days in a row, like the last month, where we just once in a while you just go back. I mean, I haven't listened to like that music or that band in 20 years. And you go back and I still know every word and every guitar lick, and it's hilarious.
I work a lot of karaoke nights at every bar that I've ever worked at, but at the one I'm at. And there was a guy singing, "Can you take me higher?" But he kind of, he sounded like just his natural voice. He sounded like Billy Corgan. And I was like, oh my God, if this was just a little slower. It sounded like a Smashing Pumpkins song. Yeah.
Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Not
my jam.
I like the first three Smashing Pumpkins album a lot.
Okay.
Gish,
yeah, that's
Melancholy, and
my partner
Silent
Jeff's
Stream.
really like very influenced by Smashing Pumpkins, and that heavy guitar stuff. It's not really something I didn't. I certainly like never listened to like Nirvana in high school or anything. I never like Nirvana. And honestly, all of the like the bands that you think of when you think of like a Seattle documentary about music were never really on
like
on my
1987 to 1994, like that.
way. Yeah, I like you know Unwound and like you know Botch and like
What about like Nine Inch Nails?
no,
Stone Temple Pilots?
Nope.
Jane's Addiction?
nope,
Soundgarden?
no, absolutely not.
Rage Against the Machine?
None of them. None of the
Nirvana?
above. Yeah, you know, I mean, in high school, I was just
Guns N' Roses?
in high school. Like the first three, like Death Cab records, were my Bible, and like you know, Minus the Bear,
Minus Ahosa.
Modest Mouse. That was all. I mean, those are all Seattle bands too. So like that, you know, that was very much my wheelhouse and the stuff that informed how I make music now. So
You would have enjoyed a lot of the shows I went to in the 2000s, because every band you just named I saw in their time back then. And so, a lot of other bands adjacent to that, and smaller shows before like they got a little too big. Enough time went on when they made a lot more money from their music. But one of my favorite shows I think you would enjoy was Ben Gibbard's solo at the Metro in 2007, and it was amazing. And I think he played with Damien Rice.
there was this time.
It was a good time.
There was like a boom in the early 2000s where you could just like. Did you ever watch the OC? That was probably a little.
Yeah.
Okay, was that? All
Yeah,
right.
it was on when I think between the ages of like 12
Do you remember
to 15.
the Adam Brody character, Seth Cohen?
Yeah.
And like what his aesthetic was? There was a time where you could just like look like that dude and make like pretty mediocre indie rock and you know, and you could get your song on like a Target commercial and like and like have pretty moderate success and be on like get guest spots on TV shows and stuff and have absolutely no sense of like personal style and fashion in terms of clothing. Like you look back at what those dudes were wearing, it is a damn shame.
I'm trying to think like
Vans slip-ons that were like plaid,
let's try
and
to
then
get-
like
let's try to
an
name-
Argyle sweater and like really like ill-fitting blue jeans.
we got to name these bands. We got to try to. We got to.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not
gotta.
going on. I'm not putting anybody on blast.
Dude, they don't
you
care.
know who you are.
All right, Grizzly Bear. Okay, I'm starting off with these bands from that era. The honorary title.
Well, if we're
I
talking,
could do this all day.
if we're talking like specifically like like OC adjacent bands, like Rooney would be like the classic example. But yeah, I mean, even largely like you know, like I don't want to put Minus the Bear on blast because like those guys very much like
We're not putting on blast in a bad way. This is funny.
Like
We're
those guys
being,
are around. Like I see those guys.
I love those
like,
bands. I'm poking fun at these bands that inspired my life.
Yeah.
I love these bands. I've seen these bands live. I'm laughing at what people dressed like 20 years ago when they were hipsters in indie rock scene.
They weren't. I mean, I guess they were hipsters.
They're
but
their version of hipsters.
They didn't dress like hipsters. I
think hipsters have been changing for the last probably since they came out. I'd say about since the mid 50s, right? Wouldn't you say that's when it started? Like Greenwich Village, like Beatnik, Poet, like Allen Ginsberg, and like a Bob Dylan and Lenny Bruce, like these people of that era, late 50s, early 60s, and I think it has a lot to do pop culture influencing forward and trickling down post World War II. Like post World War II, fashion changes a lot because of fabric shortage. We get shorter skirts for women.
Yeah. Well, also like the idea of like prep and like athleisure wear coming into
that's
like being able to like wear Keds and
days,
sneakers and like that's all like back half of the century stuff. Yeah. And here I am today wearing like a crew neck sweater and
to be fair, I've been wearing my New
and
Balances.
You're wearing this is a beautiful polo, by the way. I love this shirt.
I pride myself on my stripes and patterns.
But even just talking about the idea that things, being stuck in an era of music or thinking things were better at any given time, I'm also seeing a lot of people who are really frustrated about how difficult it is to make money in music.
That's a whole
and
other
arts.
Conversation, yes.
And I never respond to these kinds of things on like social media because I don't want to be that guy. But I'm just not convinced that like things are any like better or worse on a net level than any other given time in the recorded music. In the world of recorded music industry. It's just different. It's like everything is like more micro scale, little cosms and like, and lower altogether than like, I guess, yes, in the 90s and early 2000s, you could like get a record deal and make money as a musician. But like, just like the way that, the work of intellectuals is largely what survives and therefore what endures in terms of fine art. In like a recorded music art world, what endures is like what we remember. So we only remember the people that were successful and made money. And so we look back to that and think, oh, things were so much better back then because you could actually make it if you were like an indie band. And I'm like, you still can. It's just different. And the ways that you get seen are different. The ways that you can market yourself. I think people are frustrated by the idea that you have to manage and market yourself all the time.
Right. You don't have an A&R and a manager.
But you don't need one.
You just are that.
So that's why you don't have one. It's not because,
Well, unless you make enough money, you can't have one
then
and you
you
don't have to go on the phone. You can stay away from that. But yeah, that's
all
you have to do
and just this idea that like, that like Spotify is the devil, but Bandcamp is the saint. I'm like, I don't make a penny from Bandcamp streams. So, and I make a fraction of a penny from Spotify. So it's like, I would rather have people listen to my music on Spotify than Bandcamp because that's also the way that you get heard on, Spotify radios or related to artists or whatever.
Stuff,
And it's how a lot of people discover new music, and the accessibility to new music is, I think, a great thing. It's like fantastic. You had a Molly Compton on. She's does vinyl stuff, right? And she was talking about. I actually was like listening to her talk about the way she consumes music through vinyl. I was like, I could never do this, but I'm fascinated by it, and I love that that she just like puts on a record. Like she has like 1,000 records or whatever, and she'll just like pick one out and put it on like while she's like getting ready in the morning or whatever. And meanwhile, I'm like, the first thing I like look at in the morning is like the hip hop charts and like, I'm like listening to whatever the latest releases for hip hop is. So it's like just different ways of consuming music. but I don't think one's more virtuous than the other.
No, they're different. Different intentions, different outcomes, different states of mind you're in when you do it. I mean, I love vinyl. I have a ton. I mean, between my roommate and I, we probably have 800, 900 records, and all very, very good ones spanning, 100 years. I have a ton of local and touring artist records, and I love them, and I listen to them with certain intent. Like later today when we're hanging out, we're going to listen to records the whole night. But when I'm driving or walking, which I do every day, or doing errands around the house, I have my earbuds in and I'm listening to Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm with a person and I want to show them a new record, I'm not doing a playlist or random. I'm putting on a record on Spotify. There's certain places where I do certain things, but at home on a sound system, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be vinyl. But I keep up with buying new ones.
Right. I do sometimes feel like an outlier in my worldview of how of existing with how music consumption has changed and how much I value it and actually like think that a lot of things have gotten better. In some ways, I think that Spotify saved the music industry and that streaming when people talk about how it killed the music industry, I'm not saying it literally saved, but I'm saying it made things net positive rather than net negative.
Can you elaborate?
That the accessibility to music is a good thing, and the fact that you don't have to go to a record store and buy a record to hear, that you can, that you can just as a music listener, it's certainly gotten better,
Yeah, and fight for radio play and stuff,
right?
Like back in the 90s,
right?
Stuff.
If I want,
but it also hyper saturated.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to parse. So you are a music enthusiast, a music consumer at a high level that makes it part of your hobby, passion, and homework to dig in and do that stuff.
But that would have happened either way because technology marching forward would dictate that more people would have access to electronic instruments and means of recording.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas recording used to be a big deal.
Sure.
Now that would have happened either way.
Mm-hmm.
The streaming thing wouldn't have necessarily happened either way, but there still would have been so much more people with the ability to make recorded music as art either way. So I think it's just okay, so if you're frustrated that I just wonder if people who are super frustrated that they're not being seen or heard or getting paid because of the oversaturation have maybe just never looked in the mirror and thought, is my music that good?
I was going to say, am I ugly? Because that's I can talk about that subject for a long time. Looks are huge.
Sure. And I think
in every industry.
Yeah. I'm just
coming from one ugly person to another, okay?
If I'm just maybe your shit's just not that John Blaze, so people don't fuck with it. I'm sorry, but
it's complicated.
Not just because you made music doesn't inherently give it value. Or
there's
does
also
it?
a random factor. There's that rando factor that you can't.
Why is beat happening popular, but not some other jabroni banging on an
it's just random.
guitar?
There is a random thing, but it's always been a factor. There's always been the random factor in all of it. And I'm not saying the people who do randomly blow up aren't skillful. It's just they probably haven't been doing that long.
Well, you got to work hard. The work has to be good, and the rest is luck, right? So
there are some anomalies because of the way an algorithm and the internet works that they didn't work that hard. They're okay, and they still blow up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right look, the right age, the right place, the right TikTok viral video, you name it.
But that was true of all times. There's always going to be.
Say it's been happening for a while.
Right. There's always going to be mediocre bands that somehow rise to the surface.
Call them one-hit wonders. That's what we used to call them.
Right.
Watch VHS I love the 90s or I love the 80s or whatever version they do, and you will have the smells like sex and candy. Yeah.
Marcy Playground.
What other songs do they have? I don't know. But that song probably paid for their mortgage and stuff.
Right.
So one-hit wonders have been around for a long time.
Now another thing that's changed, and I don't know whether it is for the better or worse, but I think it's interesting to observe, is the length of releases, the run length of releases. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a lot more really random 3-song EPs, 6-song albums, 7-song albums, singles.
Yeah, now you can have an album that's 19 minutes.
Right.
You're like, what?
And we think about, okay, well, why were records 38. Why was the traditional album 38 minutes?
It's got to be under 40 if on a record.
Because of the vinyl industry.
Yes.
So those were the constrictions back then. We just have less constrictions now around. It's so much more freeform in every way, genre, runtime, all the choices that you can make. Does that mean it's better or worse? It's not. It is. It just is.
Different.
It's just different. So, you know, now, like my brother and I would be, it would be ridiculous of me not to talk about my new project now that I'm here because it just came out. My brother and I are launching a band called Sunnyland right now.
What's your brother's name?
My brother's name is Will. And we've been making music together since high school. We started this new band, and it's very much our project. It's like the two of us making the music that we grew up with, and you know, kind of no one to tell us no other bandmates. It's just like the two of us, like
big record execs telling you no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was never the issue. It was it would be like, yeah, it would be other people who are like creative contributors to the project, and you know, it's just us.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. And we made the decision that we're only going to put out 4-song EPs, period. Unless maybe, a label wanted to put out a full length and wanted to press vinyl for us, then we would talk about either putting together a collection of songs that we've already recorded onto a 12-inch or doing, you know, a new record altogether. But for now, while it's just us, just doing our thing and having fun and making this music that we enjoy, we want to put out 4-song releases. And it's a lot easier to bite off if the expectation is not there that you need to make, you know, 38 minutes of music. Then you can spend like that much more time on 4 songs and really be happy with them, you know, a week in the studio than having to feel like you really need to bite off this whole project of like 9 songs and spend $10,000 doing it. You know, you can make 4 songs for a lot less money and spend a lot more time and care making those songs the best they can be. And largely people are probably not going to make it through your whole full length if you're not on a mainstream radar, you know? So that's been like, that's a cool thing. And I don't really feel one way or another about it. It just sort of is. And, do
you have any vinyl?
The Rob Joynes like project has been pressed to vinyl, and that was through a small label called Lovers Weekend. And
That's pretty cool.
I have not checked the spreadsheet lately, but I'm sure that like I'm going on mic. I'm saying it to all you people out there listening. I don't think I've made the money back yet that it costs to press the vinyl, let alone what it costs to record the record.
Of course not. Who does?
Am I mad about that? Because I'm like, people should have realized that my shit is John Blaze and that they like should love it. I'm like, no. It just so happens that, you know, well, there was a pandemic and a lot of other reasons why, you know, I wasn't able to tour on it or like sell out of those copies of the record. But I'm happy, you know, I'm happy that it's on wax, and I'm happy that people can like consume it in that way, and enjoy it in that way. I don't really know, like, and I had fun working with the label because that guy's really into vinyl and he loves all the precious, you know, like the collector quality of it and stuff. I don't know exactly what the value of working with a label is when you're an artist on my level, other than the best thing that Lovers Weekend and Den Tapes, which is like the local Seattle label that puts out cassettes, and they put out a cassette for me. The best thing that they do for me, the most valuable thing, is that they mail all my merch. I never have to go to the post office.
Oh, that's great.
I don't like going through the orders, and some people they love that. They love that aspect of running the label. They like all of the like, I get
logistics.
To like, I get to like write a little note or put stickers in there, or like,
I love the notes.
Yeah,
it's fun. Thanks, Ben.
I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. Like, throw it in a goddamn envelope.
You got time for it. Don't lie to yourself.
Toss it in the
above us
in the mailbox and be on my way. So I'm glad to have somebody to take care of that stuff. But that's not even like what is a label anymore, other than just a loan to make something that you pay back through sales. Are they providing you with PR? Are they providing you with like social media outreach? if they're not really doing anything for you other than just giving you money that you're you're going to have to pay back in some capacity, just like maybe find a way to, if you have the means to just raise that money yourself and have no ties to anybody else.
How do you feel about bands that do GoFundMes for records?
Anti.
Elaborate.
I know plenty of people who have and do. I would never do that.
Tell us more, please.
Like I said, like you're totally welcome to do that. That's your prerogative. I just personally would not do it. I also don't presume that anybody likes my music enough to pay me for it in advance. I don't feel like that's earned on my half. Like, because if they haven't already, you know what I mean? Like I have made lots of music over the years and it's all available. It's all out there for you to hear. So if you like it, all right, yeah, buy my merch because all that money is going right back into the fund to make more, to finance. I self-finance everything, all the recording stuff, it's all me, baby. Until, DIY, do it yourself or until someone does it for us, right?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever do a GoFundMe ever again. They've never been successful. I've never done it for records.
What ends up happening is your family and like people who love you end up giving you money.
Yeah. And that's about it.
But I'm like, okay, but I don't make music for those people. Mm-hmm. Like my family doesn't understand. My brother does, but like my folks don't.
It's a pity donation. You're like, oh, Robin is a little thing. Here's $50.
Like some distant relative.
Aunt like Gladys, Aunt Dorothy.
Yeah, some cousin that this link got shared to. Like, I don't need them funding my album. Like, I'll just hustle. I'll make the money myself. And yeah.
I always found GoFundMes to be for either massive projects or like serious situations like funerals, serious operations, things like that. People like who just freak stuff and they don't have health insurance. They're usually low means of income. It's a great tool for that. It's like saved people's lives.
Right.
But for middle ground, middle class
I think
things,
Kickstarter is traditionally like more used to fund art projects. Kickstarter,
yeah. Indiegogo too, right?
I guess, yeah. Kickstarter has prizes, what's the word? Yeah, like so if you
gifts and prizes.
Yeah, it's almost like a pre-order. So just do a pre-order.
Yeah.
If enough people want to hear your album, that they are willing to pre-order it, and that ends up covering a substantial amount of the cost of making it, great. Now, that being said, they might pre-order it, 2 years in advance if you're going to make the record and then press it to vinyl. I mean, it takes a long time sometimes to
make the Cybertruck, takes a while.
What?
The Cybertruck, the Tesla Cybertruck. That's was people pre-ordered like 3 years ago?
Oh, sure.
It's only $100.
Yeah.
It still hasn't come out yet.
So, so there's that. I mean, okay, if you want to pre-order the vinyl so that you can cover like upfront a bunch of the cost of pressing, great. Yeah, I don't have any problems with that. I just, I also think it's a kind of a cloud hanging over your head if a bunch of people donated to your Kickstarter and are expecting to get their prizes, or prizes is the wrong word, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
It's fun.
I like the idea of like prizes, like it's a carnival, like you're going to get a stuffed Pikachu or whatever if you donate to my next record. I just don't really need like the pressure of family members who I've never met or don't really know that well, like who donated to my album, like expecting to get a copy of it later. And then here I mean, we just finished doing a live session and those songs are like definitely not for even people who know me personally. You know what I mean? I would rather have people who don't know me personally listen to and enjoy my music than people who do know me personally. Because
you have a nice voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dragged across gravel.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Rob just did a live session. It was glorious. First person to sing into my new mic. Sounded good. It was good.
I will know. Yeah, when I hear it back, it's a beautiful looking mic. The design of it is very.
It's got like that faux leather on it.
It looks like if you put wings on that thing, I bet it's I bet it sails through the air. You know,
it's aerodynamic. It flies. It's Stevie Nicks and Kevin Parker singing to those mics from Tame Impala, and
whatever Stevie Nicks is doing now, I don't know. Yeah.
Probably just chilling on her royalties for quite some time.
You know, a lot of the people I think that started the crusade of complaining about artists not getting paid were high-paid artists.
Oh, absolutely.
Who saw their retirement,
their fun LA homes go down. No,
just crumbling, and they scrambled and they put out a lot of propaganda that a lot of lower tier in terms of visibility artists, saw absorbed a lot of that propaganda and reappropriated it into I'm not getting paid enough. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's unfair.
It is a different era of selling records. That is something that is completely true. Bands have always made money off merch. They still do. Bands have always gotten paid to play a show. They still do. But where the difference is between 2000 and before and now, that's just the number I threw out there, but it's hard to say exactly when, is because you could just stream everything. You know, many people I know just don't buy records, or CDs are out, but don't buy records or cassettes because they don't have the money for it, or just don't feel like giving up their bad habit to put the money towards art. That's a lot of people. Back in the day, the only way to get music was you had to buy the CD, the cassette, the 8-track, or the vinyl.
Other thing I see a lot is people throwing out these figures that are if you break it all down, it costs $10,000 to make a record, and how are you going to make that back? And I'm like, okay, it shouldn't cost you $10,000.
Yeah, I've been making records technically after I paid for everything. I've been making records for free for quite some time.
Especially if you are a part of your music scene and you are up in your music scene and your music is good, people will want to work with you, and they will they want to be a part of it. And they want to see that record get made because they believe in you. Yeah. They're not going to charge you $10,000.
I've made some epically long time-consuming records. I don't think I've ever made over $2,000 on the longest form record I've ever made. It's probably never been more than that. We're talking months, years of overdubbing and just taking our time with it. Yeah. No, it's there are
first
of all, you might have to lower your expectations.
Right.
That might be it. Maybe you're not going to be recording at Electric Ladyland or,
right,
or Electrical Audio with Steve Albini.
Room,
you know, you might have to go down to the $500 studio, and that's fine. Start somewhere. But yeah, that's what I'm getting at is the complaints or the concern with the GoFundMe Kickstarter records. It's always something trying to raise 10, 15 grand for records. Whoa. What are you doing? Go to the place that's going to cost you $1,000.
Or the person who's in a band who records a bunch of other bands in your scene.
Yeah, who has the gear. And you give them $2,000 and there's your record. Easily. No, anywhere in this country, you can do that. Absolutely. So when people want to go to some fancy place, you know why they want to do it? Because it looks great on the gram. It looks really good on Facebook and the gram that you're in a real, air quotes, real studio.
Not to total non sequitur, but I was just thinking about when we were talking about all this stuff and the cost of making a record in which you're tracking acoustic instruments and in a studio that looks like the one we're in now, and et cetera, is the accessibility of recording and creating hip hop allows people to do it at a much more frequent rate, which is why, a rapper can put out 3 or 4 mixtapes in a year, where it might take a year and a half for a band to come out with an album. I think there's value in both of those, and I don't think that the quality or the staying power is necessarily one is better than the other or whatever. I'm okay, I like this rapper that I'm kind of obsessed with right now that I was showing you in the car, Midwest. This kid is he's cranking shit out, and it's it's all super cool and dope, but it's there's new stuff out all the time, and he's we are in kind of a content creation world and marketplace, so there is value in putting out music that fast, but there are always going to be fans of guitar music who are willing to wait for the next, Lamelda record to come out or whatever. And they're not in a rush. They're not like, why the fuck has Lamelda not put out another album? It's been 2 years. Like, I just don't see that kind of like demand or whatever.
It's different for different styles and genres.
Also, like Playboi Carti, Travis Scott, like they take fucking 3 years to put out a record, and those are much more like elevated hip hop records. There's a lot more like production put into those.
They also they could afford to take their sweet time.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Kendrick was able to take 5 years between Damn and Mr. Morale, like, because he probably is worth $100 million.
Yeah,
he could do it. He could sit
and
for
also
10 years. It doesn't really matter.
I also understand that it's actually more financially viable, or it makes more sense for like a large artist, like to just be playing shows all the time, because they're making $50,000 to $100,000 just for a performance. They're
that's
probably
in the mid-range, by the way.
Yeah, well, sure. I was thinking, like a rapper, like Don Toliver or something. Okay, he's gonna get paid like he might be getting paid like $80 to play at a festival or something. And who knows how much he's making on his on an album? Sure, they probably press it to vinyl, but like those artists are making a lot off of streams. I see a lot of like, okay, if you spent $10,000 on your record, so like say there's like somebody saying, oh, if you made a record for $10,000, you would have to get 1 million streams to make that money back. And I'm like, yeah, if you made a record for $10,000, you should get 1 million streams. Like that shouldn't be that hard for you to do.
If you're putting in that kind of quality,
I know bedroom pop artists from Philly who, like, plenty of them, who have like more than 1 million streams per song. And they probably made that record for the cost of the gear that
$1,000.
Yeah, that $1,300.
Yeah. My advice to musicians out there is buy a couple microphones, buy an interface, buy some cables and some stands, and just make records on your own. And collect stuff with other people and collaborate and come together with other like-minded producers, ask questions, learn, read some books, take some courses, get certified, watch YouTube. You can do it yourself.
My advice: stop making music, sell all your fucking gear, invest it in
Bitcoin.
In my new coin. I've got a great coin for you. Joynes coin.
Joynes coin.
Joynes coin.
Do you have any cryptocurrency? Do you own any cryptocurrency?
Hell no.
No?
Well, I am a gambler.
Do you hear a lot of the tech people around you talk about it?
There are no tech people around me.
No, like where you said that go to the bar.
I don't talk to those people.
You just serve them and take their money?
Yeah.
Do they tip well?
No.
Really?
So on a Friday or Saturday night, we're talking like 10% gratuity.
Really?
Like when I walk, like with what I rang.
From these people who all make over 6 figures each.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, but you got to think, like I have like 400 transactions in a night. A lot of those people, their mentality is, well, everyone else is going to tip this guy, so what does it matter if I give him nothing?
Yeah.
If I have a night where it's like I'm only ringing like, so that's if I'm like ringing like $3,000 on one till, with like 3 other bartenders behind the bar with me, all with their tills. Like, but if it's like, if it's like a slow night and I'm at the upstairs bar, we have 2 bars at my bar, like, and it's like all regulars and I only ring like $600, I'm probably going to make 30% gratuity, maybe more. So, because those people, they know me and I'm giving them more like FaceTime. Like,
what's the biggest tip you ever got?
Right before the pandemic, when it was clear that actually the night that everything shut down was my birthday.
Birthday March 15th?
16th,
yeah. That was close, right?
or the day before my birthday, whatever it was.
This guy is weird.
I definitely remember that it was my birthday was the day that they came in and said
it was Monday the 16th, right?
I guess, yeah. And they came in and they said, we're shut down. This is the last night. That bar never reopened.
Oh,
that was the gay bar that I was working at, and a guy who owns another gay bar, one of the like other like bar owners in the neighborhood, came in and gave me like $150, $200 tip, on his like 2 drinks or whatever, because like he was worried about me.
2,000% tip or something.
Yeah, shout out
to
Alex,
when you say
who owns the Admiral. He's a great guy.
Out of curiosity,
his partner Billy.
What'd you say?
Said shout out to Alex and Billy that own Admiral in West Seattle.
Who give $200 tips.
Also, I have been given a watch. I got a watch
you got a
from a guy.
Rolex, bro?
It was a Citizen. But it was a nice gold watch.
A watch.
Yeah, it's probably worth like $100, $150.
That's an interesting tip.
I
forgot my cash at home, but here's my watch.
I was just chatting up with this guy. He was really, really nice. I like watches, and I was telling him, I was showing him a watch that I was thinking about getting, and I was like, I really like your watch. It reminds me of this other one that I've had my eye on. And he said, and then on his way out, he was like, you know what, man, just take this, because he was a rich guy. He was like, I don't know, we really hit it off, and so he just gave me his watch. I still have it. It's a great watch.
Cool. If I was a very wealthy person, like billionaire level, I would have so much fun with blowing people's minds with tips and like donating and stuff. Like you see that person on the street that just looks coherent and whatnot. They just need a little bit of money, and I'll just give them like $1,000.
I would just see like
10 100s. Just give them a stack and walk away.
I just like walk up to a guy that's in a tent and be like, "Here's a watch, man."
No, here's a deed to a house. I would just mess with people, just like over the top. Yeah.
That's not sustainable. You don't want to
No,
do
I'm
that.
talking. I'm like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, like just hundreds of billions.
You would never be that.
I know, but if I was, this is how I get back.
But you never would, because you're a good person.
You sound like Trevor. He always gets mad. No. Whenever I do hypotheticals, he can't.
My brain does not compute.
Well, you're not an only child. I call it the only child.
Look,
syndrome.
you don't get to be a billionaire by being a good person. The two are mutually exclusive. You cannot be a billionaire and a good person at the same time.
Okay, I got $1 trillion in the bank, right? I'm messing with people. Every tip is like 10 grand, no matter what it is. I buy a coffee at the local coffee shop, there's 10 grand forever. Just messing with me. They're like confused, like they think it's illegal. I'm like, no, it's fine. Just doing it all the time.
I don't like this.
So much fun.
I don't like this. There are people that do this on YouTube. And it makes me very uncomfortable.
I would go above and beyond, like way more than like a Mr. Beast thing, like just
where someone is like, I'm going to buy an entire grocery store. I'm like, this is not, you're doing this out of vanity. This is not actually like helpful or sustainable for helping the community.
I wouldn't buy anything. I would just give people stuff all the time.
All right.
All the time.
You just be like, just a maniacal Willy Wonka just handing out bills. Like, why not do something that's more sustainable?
I would do that too. I would start charities and have events and whatnot, and have everyone clap when I walk around.
I'm just imagining you going like full like benevolent Mr. Burns.
Smithers.
Yeah, and like I'm just like, you don't need to do that. Rick Steves. So I live in Shoreline, and just north of me in Edmonds, Rick Steves. Do you know Rick Steves?
Mm-hmm.
It's a travel show guy.
Okay.
Through Europe through the back door with Rick Steves.
Okay.
And he bought. I would say he's like rich, necessary. I mean, he's like a successful, public television personality.
He does well, I'm sure.
He bought like a motel up in Edmonds and repurposed it into a women's shelter. Like that's awesome. It's a sustainable thing. That,
I would definitely do things like that. Why don't more people
that's
do
some
things
real
like
that's
that?
some real like walking the walk, shit.
Oh, I wish more people did that have the means to.
If you think about what Jeff Bezos like gives away charitably, like his philanthropic and endeavors are like me giving $5 to a panhandler is on ratio, like percentile wise, is more than he's ever done. Like period.
No,
like
trust me, I know. I don't have a lot of money, so I give my time, my education, and my life abilities to people.
I also think that even like if you were to total up all of your gear and add that into your would be like net worth, you giving that away would be less valuable than you like what you do, which is like give the music community an opportunity to do things.
Absolutely.
So using this space and this gear and your know-how to do all of that stuff, you can't put a dollar amount on that.
No, I mean that's what I've been doing for 13 years is that. Yeah, and that's my way of understanding how to give back, because I don't have the means. I don't come from any means to give financial, to give money to things. So I just give time, experience, my hands, my muscles. I give my body. Like it's priceless. So I could just do that.
This is Ben's body broken for you.
That just sounded kind of creepy. Jesus,
I just came from, so I'm here in beautiful Chicago. I land yesterday. I didn't sleep all the night before because I closed the bar, caught an early flight. I'm just recounting for the listener at home my adventure here. I caught my early morning flight, went straight to the airport, Lost 2 hours on the flight here.
What time? Give them a time. They don't know what time it is right
now. Well, right now?
No. In this story, you haven't said a time yet.
Yeah, so like I flew out at 5:30 in the morning.
When did you get off work?
2 a.m.
See, this is really
2
important.
2:30?
This is important
2:30.
for the listener to understand the narrative because you didn't say any times. You just said I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I closed the bar. I went home. I got my luggage. I got to the airport. My partner drove me to the airport. Flew out. Lost 2 hours, so I landed here at noon.
Ouch.
I got here and dropped my stuff off, and Trevor was working from home, so he lets me in. I come down and to this nice situation that you guys have for me to my accommodations, and I try to take a nap, but I'm in a new city. I'm excited. I haven't been to Chicago in 6 years. I was like, I couldn't sleep. Yeah. So even though I was so tired, I was like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the Art Institute. And I'm there.
The Art Institute of Chicago Museum.
Yes. Beautiful, overwhelming museum.
Top notch. It keeps winning best museum in the world.
Too much
over and over
to
again.
Look at. I got there and I wanted to get a cup of coffee and I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to like the cafe or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just walking to the bathroom in the cafe, I like just breezed past all of these classic, iconic images. Yeah. And I was just like, fuck me, goddamn it.
It has legendary paintings.
Yeah, I'm like spoiling it all for myself, but also just like, it was just like waltzing past, some of the most iconic art in the history of humans. And so then I was like, okay, I go back to the Renaissance and medieval section, which is what I was most excited to like look at and see. And oh man, hour 3, I haven't even left the medieval like Renaissance like hall.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get real woozy. It's catching up with me. I'm starting to hallucinate. I'm starting to feel kind of high. And I'm looking around at all these students who are scribbling in their notebooks. They have like their high school students like having to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, this must be horrible for you that you have to look at this like rendering of the crucifixion, the passion story or whatever, me and I'm just like here to just enjoy it and I don't have to write a paper. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit the wall soon. I'm gonna pass out if I don't get out of here. So I beelined for the Impressionism section.
Well, you don't need much thought for it. You just go to Impressionism.
I get to Van Gogh.
It's glary already.
I breeze past Monet. I get to Van Gogh.
So easy to breeze past.
And I'm looking at, and there's all these people like taking pictures on their phones of like, of the bedroom and the self-portrait, and they're like 5 feet away, and I'm like with my face like 8 inches from the self-portrait, looking at all the brushstrokes, and they're starting to move. And I feel like, and I'm like looking around being like, these people have never dropped acid. They don't even know. You can't enjoy Van Gogh if you've never done acid. And then I was like, ooh, tunnel vision. And I booked it out of there. I went to the Red Line. I took the train back here. And that's my Art Institute
Did
story.
you go to like State and Lake Red Line?
It was I just walked up 2 blocks to Monroe and State.
On Red Line, yeah.
And
took it to 35th. It's great, right? So convenient. It's fast.
It is. It's a little far. The walk from the station to your house is a little far. You have to walk past the White Sox Stadium.
It's like a half mile. It's not bad.
The White Sox Stadium is called something really weird. It's called like Guaranteed Rate
Guaranteed
Stadium
Rate.
or something.
It used to be U.S. Cellular before that, and then it was Comiskey before that.
People complain about, T-Mobile Park used to be Safeco, and Lumen used to be CenturyLink. They called it the Clink. And I'm like, I had no problem adjusting. I like, what's the difference between CenturyLink and Lumen? They're both just, they're both like, phone company monopolies. Who cares what we call the stadium, But I think I might have a problem referring to a ballpark as Guaranteed Rate Stadium. That just, it doesn't roll off the tongue. It's a weird collection of words.
Off the tongue. It didn't roll off the tongue when it was U.S. Cellular.
I
can't speak.
Case
right
in
now.
point.
I can't even say it. Comiskey. I still call it Comiskey.
Okay. See, I don't like that. I don't like calling a ballpark something that it used to be, because I'm just like, that's just confusing for everybody. Just call it what they call it.
It's confusing for people who aren't from around here. If you're from around here and you say Comiskey, 100% of everyone knows because they're all from here.
But like,
You know,
Lumen's been Lumen for 2 years. People are still calling it CenturyLink or whatever. People are T-Mobile's been that for several years. People and I'm
Sears
like,
Tower,
what
you know?
brand loyalty do you have to Safeco insurance company? That you don't to T-Mobile.
It's just what you learn and you stick to it.
I at least have T-Mobile. Key Arena.
Listen, what do you call the tallest building in the Midwest? It's in Chicago.
Yeah. I know. Oh God, what's it called? Fuck me.
You're hurting my feelings right now. You're hurting my feelings. It's a legendary building now. Was the tallest building in the world for like 23 years.
It's not Sears Tower, is it?
Well, it is the Sears Tower, but it's
Okay.
actually not. It's the Willis Tower.
Okay.
But no one calls it the Willis Tower.
Well, it's Willis Tower.
Yes. But it's the Sears Tower, even though it's not. Just like it's not Comiskey. It's, guaranteed rate.
Well,
It's been Willis for a while,
I'm
like
going to
20
be
years or
yeah.
so.
Well, thank you for informing me of that because now I'm going to only refer to it as Willis
You're
Tower.
going to get jumped, and I'm not going to help you. I'm gonna be like, yeah, beat his ass. He deserves it. I will help you jump him. This poser is from Seattle.
Yeah.
Get out of here. What is this?
This is an Elf bar.
What is it?
Strawberry banana.
But like, what is it?
I don't know.
It's not a vape.
It is a vape.
You were saying
it's
everything
it's a
but vape.
nicotine vape.
Can I try it?
Sure.
You don't care?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, shoot.
Be
That
careful.
tastes like strawberries and bananas.
I know it tastes like a Go-Gurt.
It does taste like a Go-Gurt. Oh,
And that's why the kids are all addicted
that
to this
is
shit.
so dangerous.
I
It
know.
tasted like a Go-Gurt.
And we don't
in
even
vape
know.
form.
We don't even know the kind of health effects that this is going to have on me.
That is wild. Every time
20
I've
years
tried
from
someone's
now.
vape, which isn't often, it's always blows my mind. I'm like, the flavors are potent.
It's disgusting. When I had a Juul back in the Juul days, I just had the like original flavor, which was just like it just kind of tasted like tobacco. And I was like, I hate the flavors. I don't want. I'll take tobacco or menthol. That's all I want. And then I quit. Cigs, vaping, all that stuff. And I don't really know how it started back up again, but I'm just like everyone else. I'm whipped by these vapes, and and you can puff on it all day long. It's like a portable hookah. I take it to shows. I'm at the symphony the other day, and I'm in the bathroom smoking this fucking thing between the concerto and Stravinsky's
Between Moonlight Sonata
and Stravinsky's
and Canon in D and
Firebird, I think is what I saw. Yeah, and so. I'm at
you're
Benaroya Hall.
such an interesting.
I'm at Benaroya Hall puffing on my fucking Elf bar. I'm the
thing-
only. I'm
the
wearing
music
like a.
you like. It's so wide.
I'm like everyone's all dressed up. I'm wearing like a denim vest and a shirt from the movie Society. I don't know if you know. Have you ever seen the movie Society? It's a melt movie.
I know Menace to Society, but I've never seen
and
Society.
the shirt has blood stains all over it. It's like a white shirt that has like
Your blood?
red dye all over it.
Or it's from the movie.
Yeah, I mean it's just the shirt is it's a fan art. I bought it off of an artist, and here I am wearing my vest and my Society shirt and my white high tops, and I mean it was a matinee, so people don't really get dressed up for the matinee, but like there were a lot of people in suits, and I definitely felt I was like I'm wearing my sunglasses inside. Let's go. So
You wore your sunglasses inside?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like,
What's your vision? Because you were saying you need glasses.
What's my vision? What do
Yeah,
you mean?
like what are the numbers that?
How should I know?
Oh, I
I haven't been to an optometrist in 12 years.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying if you wear sunglasses inside and you can't see well, it's probably really, really hard to see.
Yeah, but you don't need to see. You just listen.
It's true. It is just sound.
Yeah. I mean, I had great seats. I was like 5 rows back from the stage. So yeah, I like to watch the performers, and that's what you go to live symphony for is to see it done live. That's the way it's meant to be.
What
enjoyed.
what has been your favorite concert experience? Like the best one you've like in every way, all around.
The best concert I've ever been to in my life?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Okay, how about this?
That.
One of your favorites, like
You can't do that.
extremely memorable, maybe not best, but like it pops in your head when you think of this question. A couple pop up. Which one? Just choose any of them.
I mean, the first one that just like popped into my brain was the last time I saw Mogwai was at the Showbox downtown, and I've seen Mogwai a couple of times. That was really, really great. You know, I one that comes to mind is Sasquatch 2010, I believe. I saw Bon Iver touring on Forever Forever, and he was on the small stage because, you know, that was back before
You were young, 18?
I was 16.
16?
Yeah, that one that comes to mind. You know, and then a lot of them are like artists that, you know, like that you probably even heard of because they're like, it was like my friend's brother in a basement, you know, kind of thing or whatever. So it's like some of the most emotional concerts for me. Like, okay, so we just Trevor and I just were at this wedding, which is like kind of how we reconnected, and therefore why I'm here in Chicago visiting. And we're at this wedding, and we were groomsmen.
Coeur d'Alene?
It was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we're groomsmen. So there's you know there's like the bachelor party and the wedding rehearsal day before all the other guests show up and the actual ceremony happens and everything. They had a lovely day for just the family and the wedding party, and the bride, Mackenzie, her brother Nate, who's a guy I grew up with, played. Oh, so Trevor played, I played, and then Nate played. And truly, he only did covers, which is like he makes his own music, and he's a great artist. But I cried. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. Like that's the most recent performance that moved me to tears, you know, because he did songs that were their favorites, you know, and like he just, oh my gosh, he's got this kind of James Taylor quality to his voice that's very like kind of soft and round and feels like a comfy pillow or whatever, and just a beautiful. So that was really nice. In terms of symphonic or, you know, or orchestral music or whatever, I saw Rachmaninoff's first two piano concertos this year. That was really emotional because that second piano concerto is like one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. And
you play piano, right?
I do. Not like that.
How long have you been playing piano?
I started taking lessons when I was like 7 years old.
You still do?
I did take lessons. So the history of me like playing piano is I did like, you know, your standard like, you know, C D E F G G G G F E D C C C. You know, you just start like with that, you know, and that's how you learn to read and everything. You know, you're a little baby. And then, and then,
7-year-old.
Then comes the Bach, you know, the more like the teaching pieces, the Bach, and I was taking lessons from the organist at our church, then I had a teacher named Kristen who was in my mom's band, and
your mom had a band?
We're not talking about it.
Wait. I'll respect that, but
my mom was in a lot of bands, but like Christian rock band. Yeah,
that's awesome.
She's a jazz singer, though.
That's great.
She sings.
I thought your mom's band. I thought you were like saying like that was one of your first band names. Like my mom's, like the band name is called My Mom's Band.
That isn't. It's an okay.
I didn't say it was a good or
name.
bad name. I just thought that's what you were meaning. And then I realized like, oh, you mean like your mom.
I mean, I'll say like anyone listening, free to use. My Mom's Band, it's out there, you know.
So your mom,
with Ben's permission, are you okay with relinquishing
I'm fine with it.
Intellectual property?
I have a lot of band names that I like, you know. But wait, so your mom?
Because I always say there's only like 5 good band names and they're all taken. You know what I mean?
What are they?
Man, like probably like Duster.
That's a good band name.
Yeah, Duster's Unwound, great band name. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I feel like I can predict the style of music these are so far.
The Seeds is a great band name.
So far, you're 0 for 3.
You don't like any of these band names?
I think they're 5, but you're like, there's only 5 great ones.
Not
like,
great.
Oh.
I said 5 good. The rest are like just passable or range from passable
there's
to
some
terrible.
Really, really good band names out there.
Name them.
I think Sonic Youth is a pretty cool band name.
Boo.
It's because you don't like 90s
fine.
music, that's why.
I love Sonic Youth. It's a fine band name.
You don't think it's a good name? I think it's a really
Youth
interesting name.
is I mean, obviously it probably wasn't when they were around, but like Youth is way like played out in
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying relative to the time.
Yeah.
1981, no one in the world has a band name like that. Talking Heads is not too bad. It's pretty,
Talking Heads is good.
Not too
That's
bad.
a good band name.
Radiohead isn't that too? It's not too bad for how popular it is. It's not the best, but it's not bad.
Just makes me think of the Ayn Rand novel Fountainhead.
If Nirvana didn't get so big, if you were to keep it just like underground, like a garage rock, punk rock, grunge rock band, it's not a bad name because who in the world even knew what that meant in 1989? We have no internet. No one could Google Buddhist information.
Right. Buddhists knew.
Well, they knew, but like that's an interesting word.
And they were like, man, you copped our stees.
You know what I'm saying? That's like a
That's
new
how
word
Buddhists
to
talk.
people.
I don't know if you ever met a Buddhist,
No,
but that was a
I don't think
flawless
I have met
impression.
A Buddhist. Have not met a Buddhist.
You need to interview one for the
should
pod.
have something I'm going to try to do.
You got Steve Albini. How hard can the Dalai Lama be? Just call up the Dalai
He's gonna
Lama's
ask
people.
to have my tongue put in his mouth or something. I might do it because I'm not a child.
You might do it. I would do it.
I'd do it.
The Dalai Lama.
I'd be like, I'll do it if you do it for me, Mr. Dalai Lama.
I'm all about stories and experiences and tongue kissing the Dalai
If I
Lama.
get to say that the Dalai Lama sucked in my tongue,
Yeah.
I don't know. I could live with myself.
Okay, new band name, Dalai Lama Tongue Sucker. There you
Dalai
go.
Lama tongue sucker.
Okay, so yeah, so the keyboardist in one of my mom's Christian rock bands, she taught me so her thing was bring me chord charts and I will teach you how to revert. Oh my God. Okay. For the viewer at home, Ben is getting ripped off this fucking
That vape's
Nicky
wild.
Nicky vape.
I'm in a candy store with that thing.
Yeah. So she would have me bring like Death Cab songs, like chord charts, like guitar tabs and stuff. And we would like reverse engineer how to play a Ben Folds song or an Elton John song or whatever, just from ear using only the chords. Then I was in, band and orchestra, winter drum line,
Did you play piano in
I
those?
played
in band and
xylophone, vibraphone, marimbaphone.
Okay.
Marimba.
Marimba phone.
Marimba phone.
I'm like, wait, you're making up
Banana
stuff.
phone.
So did you go into the percussion world? Because those are starting to get in percussive instruments.
My brother was on the drum line, so that was how I got into marching band and stuff. Marching band was awesome.
So nepotism, as always. It's always...
No, yeah, right, yeah. I just, I was in the
who
pit.
You know.
I was in the pit. I was a keyboardist, so that's what they do. You don't march.
Wait, did your mom go far with her music in the bands she was in?
Let's put it this way. A personal goal. My mom asked me, like, what would it mean?
Wait. Let me guess something. Sorry to cut you off. You said Christian rock bands?
And jazz.
But a lot of Christian
big
rock?
band jazz, like Andrew's Sisters kind of stuff.
But Christian rock. Did she do any Christian rock?
Yes.
Why are you so...
Yes.
Why you...
Because I don't want people to Google this shit.
It's my bread and butter. I grew up on that. So my first... People always say, like, oh, my first concert, it was like I was like 15 or 16. I was like, bro, I've been going to concerts since I was born. It wasn't until 15 that they went to secular. Before that, it was all Christian. So, because I grew up heavily in the Christian world and Christian rock. So, like, Amy Grant, Carmen, Avalon, Newsboys, Jars of Clay.
Jars of Clay still fucks. Can we just talk about that?
Hey, we're talking Christian. Don't bring the F word in here.
They fuck for Jesus, dude.
Do you know what I'm saying? Though, like the bands I just named, I know a lot of that era, the '90s Christian rock, alternative rock. I used to always go to this Christian music festival called Pulse in South Bend, Indiana. Yeah, so I was just wondering, Switchfoot. Well, Switchfoot was doing what like POD and like these bands are like, we're Christian, but like they were just trying to double dip. Mm-hmm. That's what they were doing. Like they're kind of Christian, but like their music you can take either way depending on how you interpret the lyrics.
And that's why the music industry now is broken, because Christian crossover bands don't have a chance anymore.
No, they don't.
For all you listeners out there thinking, oh, Rob thinks that the
music
industry is better. I did. My back hurts.
Oh, what do you mean it hurts?
I just gotta lean forward.
Do you need this to just go up?
This is fine.
And that way you can scoot up closer.
All right, this is no editing. No editing.
I don't
on
want you
the
to be too out of frame.
Bending Brains.
We
pod.
don't edit here. That's one rule.
Yeah. For all you people thinking, oh, Rob is like simping for the way the music industry is now.
Wait, so did your mom play with like those
Psych,
kind of artists?
Psych, the music industry's broken because Christian crossover bands can't make it in this world anymore. They can't double dip. They have to stay in their lane.
Did your mother
Hillsong,
play with those bands? Like
no,
not that level.
No.
Okay.
She's older than that.
She's older than that. How old is your mom?
68.
She would have been of the 80s then.
Yeah.
Of that era of Christian music, right?
Yeah. But this band, it was a contemporary like Christian music band, whatever. And so that's
she was playing for Billy Graham. Okay. I get it now.
Yeah, like worship team kind of music.
Yeah.
So that but I always say that piano teacher, like Kristen, she really unlocked that, like my playing style as it remains to this day. How I play is because of the way that she taught me to block chords and stuff. You know, I do a lot of like fifths and sevenths and stuff on in my left hand, and a lot of leads on my right. You know, and pretty traditional like rock guitar chord progressions and stuff. So
you're pretty solid on the piano. Then you've been playing a while.
Yeah, it's second nature to me.
Yeah, and you have training, so. And you learn how to read music and stuff?
And so this is the thing, is like, so I lost the ability to like read music largely, and I never was very good at it. Like even when I was in marching band, one of my best friends was the lead of Pit, which is like the auxiliary that's on the sideline in front of the marching band. Mm-hmm. Which is like, where I was like playing, you know, vibraphone and banana phone and stuff. And even a lot of the times I would just go over to her house and she would sight read my parts and teach them to me, so I didn't have to read them, because I was just like, I don't fucking have time for this. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't. I got homework to do.
You're more by ear?
I also didn't do the homework, so it's just all ear, you know. And I don't really do a lot of covers. Like I'm here in Chicago to see one of my favorite artists, Kath Bloom, tomorrow with Trevor. I have covered a couple of her songs, and I do covers for like Halloween sets and stuff, like for fun, like fun covers, but I'm not really much of a cover artist. But I'm not one of these people that like sits around trying to pluck out. Like Jeff does that a lot at home. Like he'll be sitting at home like learning how to play like a Neil Young song or something. That's not really what I do.
Man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you.
You sound just like him. You actually kind of sound like a creaky old prospector. Like,
remember when he took his music off Spotify?
You're like, oh well,
what a move!
Howdy.
Must have been really hard.
I got a big pile of gold in my mind, and I'm gonna take it away from Spotify.
I love nothing more than when really, 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 really rich and successful people do something so darn bold and brave that doesn't affect their life at all.
Spotify's trying to steal my gold.
It's so goofy. Like, people always respect it. Like, what do you mean? These people can afford to do it. It doesn't do anything.
Here's what I don't understand about Neil Young.
It doesn't do anything.
Like, as a figure, what I don't understand about Neil Young is he's like all about like audiophile shit, right? Like, he's like all about like, it has to be he like designed a thing that was the most pure way to like listen to something. It's like the most true way to listen to a vinyl or whatever. And I'm like, your recordings suck like 70% of the time. Like, listen to the album Mirrorball. What the fuck was happening in that studio?
Well, like, people need to remember.
It sounds like a line 6 with the bass knob turned all the way up.
A Spider line 6. Or, you know, the line 6 Spider.
Yeah,
those
like
terrible amps.
with the bass turned like all the way up and just flop. It sounds like ass. It's the worst guitar tone. So I'm like, wait, you really need like the most pure way to listen to that? Like, you know what I mean? Okay, and even like on Harvest, sure, you've got like, you've got the cuts from Harvest that everybody knows, Heart of Gold and all that, but like. See the lonely boy out on the weekend. That acoustic is really crispy. It sounds beautiful, really true, kind of vintage, beautiful, like analog sounding tone. But you get later into the record and there's like weird, like quasi live sounding recordings where he's like hitting wrong notes in the solo. I'm like, on his most popular record. So I'm like, why are you the one that's telling me the way that I can't listen to your music through earphones? It doesn't get better than the
people who are.
And you know what? Here I've said it. So Neil Young, at me, bro, at me.
Hit the vape.
Mic drop.
Hit
me up on X, bro.
I don't have much patience for big artists that are pushy with tech and quality and stuff. They don't really know what they're talking about. Like, they're just artists. They're not engineers. They're not engineer producers that are trained and like research this stuff and do the math, and they're not. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. And that's fine. That's fine, but know that about them. When you listen to them, they're not gods. They're just humans. They're promoted at the right time by the right people, and they got the yes stamp of approval by the industry. And that's about as far as it goes in their skill and talent. That's my word on it. Because I've heard just as many good musicians at the lowest echelon of fame, and I've heard great ones at the top. And the difference is who's promoted more by the entities that say they want to, the powers that be. It's that simple. It's the same with movies. It's all the same. It
is interesting. Well, we can talk about that with movies. That's a hot take, but I will say in terms of just like a solo artist writing music, like the like the people who are like held as like gods, like, oh, it's Fleetwood Mac, or it's it's Jimi Hendrix, or oh my God, it's Joe Walsh, whatever. Like, I'm like, yeah, but like, you ever heard of Swirlies? You know what I mean?
Don't even talk about the Swirlies.
Like, Swirlies, the greatest band of all
bands
time.
Like, I'm gonna do a session with them.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not gonna shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, bro. I just
talk
saw
about
them.
It off mic.
So I saw them at.
You can't talk about.
I saw them in Seattle and Bellingham last time they were on tour, which this is like years ago now. It's like 5 years ago, before the pandemic. And
you're like the third person in my life that knows them.
And they're like, and they literally like they rolled up. I got to the venue and like they were touring in the grossest like old ass van.
That's awesome.
Like, and I was like. And I'm like, this band deserves the bus, dude. Like, they need
Did you
a
see
nice
my Swirlies
ass
poster?
bus.
Coming down the stairs upstairs?
I did not.
When you come down the stairs to our bedrooms, come down, I have the Swirlies poster with the guy lighting a fire with the spray can. It came in my Broke Dick car vinyl. I have all their vinyl. Mm-hmm. They finally released 2 years ago. We spent our wild youthful years in the Glittering Saloons. Finally.
One of the greatest records of all time.
It's top 5 records for me of all time.
One of the greatest openings for a record of all time. The way that record opens is mind-blowing.
Dude, that like album
I'm like,
needs to be on a Mount Rushmore.
I'm like, you don't talk to me, 65-year-old man. You do not talk to me about the fucking Beatles. Like, I don't want to hear about it. The Swirlies are my Beatles.
The Swirlies are so good, so unbelievably underrated for what they did with sound. In the 90s.
And they were like, that was happening at the same time as like fucking Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about fucking Pearl Jam. I want to talk about Soundgarden. Like, I can't. I need the
I like those bands too, but the Swirlies.
It's not even the Swirlies. It's just Swirlies.
Just
talking
Swirlies,
about good
baby.
band names. That's a great band name.
I
Swirlies,
wish that they continued to like make music and have more of a thing, but what are you going to do?
Welcome to Swirlies Cast, the podcast where we talk about Swirlies.
I love them. I mean, I literally have met, like, I said 3, but like 7 people my whole life. That I always left that poster.
They're one of Jeff's favorite bands. He showed me them when we were 21.
It was my indicator. It didn't help me at all in college. From 18 years old to 24, 6 years, I was single, no relationship. And when I went to any parties, which wasn't often, but when I went out anywhere, the only stipulation for me to take anybody seriously, by that I mean a woman, I'm a heterosexual man, is I'd lead with, do you know the Swirlies? And if they said yes, I'm going to try so hard to talk to this person. 100% of them said no. So it never worked.
And this is why you don't deserve love and no one ever wants to date you.
But eventually that came true. And eventually someone did know them when I was much older. Mm-hmm. And that was wild. I was like, wait, you do?
Yeah, there are a few bands like, it's funny, Duster used to be one of those bands for me, but because of TikTok and how much their music has been proliferated, like, in the last few years, it's no longer a metric for like, are we going to see eye to eye about a lot of different kinds of music stuff and what quality, like what tonality and quality I like in music that we will like. I know Kath Bloom is one of those artists. Like, so, I'm here in Chicago to visit you and to visit Trevor and all that and to visit this lovely city. But the catalyst for me coming was to come see this artist, Kath Bloom, and very, very unknown. I would say that.
Where's she playing?
She's playing at the Hideout.
Nice.
And
I was just there.
Yeah.
Small venue.
Exactly.
Maybe 200 people?
I mean, dude, she's playing a house show in Pittsburgh. I mean, if I had known people in Pittsburgh that would like put me up, I would have gone. But I also maybe need to like be at a venue so I can like hide from her and not like because it's like a real Meet Your Hero situation that's going on here.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
so I like don't necessarily want to just be like hanging out in somebody's backyard with her yet. Although I do know 2 people who have played shows with her. So
She's just a person, Rob.
is she though?
We're all just people.
Yeah, I'm saying like no,
Don't
like
put
Joe Walsh is just a person.
Don't put anyone on a pedestal.
Kath Bloom is a god.
Don't put anyone on a pedestal.
So like I would say like in terms of or like visibility or legendary status, it's probably somewhere like in the ballpark of Swirlies. So she is one of those artists where I'm like, if you know who fucking Kath Bloom is, like we're gonna get along.
I've heard of her. I've never listened to her music.
Do you want to go to the show tomorrow?
I can't. I won't be around.
Okay. Well,
that means
you're really missing out on a once in a lifetime thing here.
It is what it is.
Yep.
Till it ain't.
That's the problem with live music is that it is very it's here and it's gone. It happens in one instant.
I go to a lot of shows. I have a really cool show I'm going to next week. Men I Trust. Do you know Men I Trust?
I do not.
They're really cool, like jazz, lo-fi, indie, soft rock. I have some of their records. We'll listen to later. Really cool band.
First
from
impression,
Montreal.
just off the top of the dome, I don't trust them.
Why?
I just don't trust that name.
Men I Trust.
I was just trying to make a joke. It didn't
really,
land. It didn't land. It's all good.
Really good music. I'll show you it later. I have the records from Montreal.
For the listener at home, you're going to be missing out on the next like 5 hours of me and Ben just screaming at each other as we like just share music back and forth. Wait, you've never heard of this band? Wait, you've never heard of that band? It's just going to be that for the rest of the day. So
we got a lot of. We have enough records to appease anyone because we have all the styles and genres out there. And yeah, I'm happy with my Swirlies collection. I think I have 4. I have 3.
And are you an Unwound person at all? I don't know. You're not really into post-hardcore maybe as much.
I don't know them.
Okay, so Unwound, it's interesting. I've found that Unwound is like very, very known and regarded in the Northwest. It's actually very regional, and I don't feel like their reach is maybe as wide elsewhere. But the people who do know, if you know, you know. Talking about acronyms for for the children.
Acronyms.
No acronyms here. If you know, you know. And so Unwound, like I would say, like Leaves Turn Inside You is similar to a Swirlies record, but the rest of their stuff is like Drive Like Jehu, like post-hardcore, more in line with like the more angular guitar stuff of like Sonic Youth. And but they're a great band, one of my favorite bands. Yeah,
Sonic Youth. I have a fun story about that.
Let's hear your Sonic Youth story. He's never told on a mic. First time you're hearing it, people.
I think I've told this story.
Well, then
once or twice, I think.
This is just redundant.
You see that jazz master over there? That ocean turquoise jazz master? That's
I do,
just a beauty.
yeah.
That beautiful heavenly angel over there. Legend has it that Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo, when they were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the 2000s, on the Sonic Youth 2009 tour, which I saw them at the Vic Theater for, that they played that guitar.
Well, this is a real John Voight's car, George Costanza.
No.
moment.
I'll tell you the story. I can go further. I would love to have John Voight's teeth on a pencil. Like Angelina Jolie's father. So I was in the market for buying a Jazzmaster. This is December 2011. That's when I got that, back before it was cool to have one. And I was reaching out to this guy on eBay who was selling it. And at the time, he had a red one matching headstock, a Sonic Blue one matching headstock, and the Ocean Turquoise one. And and then I was looking at all 3. It was at his guitar shop. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go up to Milwaukee to buy it.
And the red one was owned by Joe Pantoliano.
No. And so I reached out to him and I was like, I really wanted a Sonic Blue one. They were more rare color. I wanted it. And he was like, it's not available anymore. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just get the Ocean Turquoise one then. And
it is a little mermaid in color. It's like, so I can see why red.
Mermaid?
It's a kind of a mermaid color.
Ocean turquoise.
Yeah, it's ocean, yeah.
And the legend has it, and he said Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo came into the shop and were trying out all 3 guitars because they're known when they went to cities for picking up Jazzmasters and Jaguars. That's why they had like 100 of them each.
I was gonna
And-
say, like, I was not gonna be like particularly impressed if you were like, this was Thurston Moore's guitar, because I was like, doesn't that dude have like 12 guitars on stage
it would
with
look
him
more
at
beat
any
up if
given
it
time?
was. If it was, it would look hammered and destroyed.
Mhm.
And I guess they tested it and tested the other ones. They played it at the shop, and they ended up buying the other two, and they left that one, and then that's the one I got.
So you have Thurston Moore's sloppy seconds hanging on
Yep.
your wall,
Yep.
and you're bragging about it.
Yep. Sorry, Kim. Yeah.
Well, I think
that was a really
I
cool
think
concert.
we have one of Chris Wallace's guitars. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean,
That's
which is,
cool.
I mean, like that's not. I feel like maybe as crazy, just because he's like very much just like. I mean, he's not a local anymore. He lives in like Iceland or something. But that's where I tracked my record. Was at
In Iceland?
No, at his studio in Seattle.
Oh, nice. With him?
No, with a great producer called Sam Rawson, who is an engineer there, and and
That's cool.
yeah, a lot of great records have been made there.
Is
Pedro
that
the
where
Lion
Red Ribbon recorded there?
I don't think so. I think Red Ribbon was like tracked in New York
Oh, okay.
with
I really like them.
with what's his face.
Red Ribbon's cool. I have that vinyl, and
So I mean,
I really like
Red
it.
Ribbon because of Jeff, or
yeah, they came through 2019.
Was Jeff with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff was with them. They stayed the night. It was a fun time.
Okay.
Good session.
Man, I just don't even have any recollection of him telling me about that. I mean, he must have, but
That's because you're too cool. You're too busy in Iceland with Chris Wallace.
yeah, he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm with Ben," and I was like,
We had a good time. Yeah.
"Ben fucking who?" And I hung up.
Ben so.
I said, "I want a divorce. We're not even married."
Yeah, that was a fun time when they came through. I really,
No,
really liked
I would never go
that
to
band.
Iceland.
No?
No,
Why?
scary white people place. I don't want to go
What?
there. Midsummer
You just
vibes,
described
man.
Seattle, bro.
No, midsummer vibes. I don't want to go.
Isn't Seattle a scary white person place?
I guess so. That's why people from
What's
Seattle.
the demographics of Seattle?
That's why people from Seattle
Guess for me.
like to go to Iceland so much, because they're like, I want to go to like Seattle, but like even more white.
Guess Seattle's demographics.
Gosh, what is this has just become like the, like Seattle Civics podcast. Like,
Know your civics.
yeah. I live there. I don't work for the city.
Come on,
Jesus.
guess for me, bro. Guess.
I don't care to do that.
You can't do it.
I don't.
It's about
I choose not to.
66% white, 17% Asian, about 7% black,
Really? Only
about
7%.
6.6% Hispanic, 0.4% Native American, 0.9% Pacific Islander, and 2% other races, and 5.6% two or more races.
You heard it here first.
It's about 2/3.
Bending brains. Seattle Civics. Yeah, I don't know. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go, Ben?
For how long? What's the context? Just go right now?
Yeah, like you got, let's say, 2 weeks. Week and a half to 2 weeks, one location.
Probably Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bit of a basic bitch choice, but
Yeah, I would go to record bands though. How basic is that?
Okay, yeah. See, and here's the thing: is that you probably will. Is
Yeah,
like, that's
the
going
plan.
to happen.
The plan is like next year to do Tokyo.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my goal. I'm thinking maybe doing an Asian tour of Tokyo, Seoul, South Korea, Singapore, and try to throw in the Philippines or.
I was
Thailand.
really hoping you were gonna be like, I want to go like record in like, like Nigeria or like,
I mean, Ethiopia
Uganda.
is possible because of some connections to that.
I got connections. I might have connections in Ghana for you
Yeah,
if you want to go to Ghana, Togo.
let's go.
Yeah.
I was thinking about going to Ungogo. Because I want to see those chimps, man. After watching Chimp
I don't know.
Empire.
I don't have any like music connections there, but like,
I do a podcast with a chimp.
we were watching for the listener at home. We're watching Chimp Nation or whatever.
No, we were
last
watching
night.
Our Universe, but they had a lot of chimp footage. Mm-hmm. Chimp Empire is a different thing, which is really cool. Really interesting documentary. Kind of overwhelming and heavy and really sad. There's some sad stuff. They
Yeah.
really play onto the feelings of us relating to them as humans, even though they're not.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Well,
Not interested. No
if
chips
I were
for
to
me,
pick
thank
a
you.
less easy one, like a Tokyo or Paris or something,
Chimp Nation, you go to Chimp Nation. Go
I
record
go
the
to
chimps. Do you think chimps can make music?
Honestly, Ethiopia would be pretty sweet. I think that they could do something. I would probably do. Really want to go to Thailand. Asia. That's a big place.
To record or just to visit?
See, I've never been anywhere just to visit. I've always recorded everywhere I've been.
This is my problem.
And it's a huge problem.
I feel like
it upsets a lot of people.
When I
travel,
I feel like when I travel, if I'm not doing it for music, then it's frivolous.
I know. I don't know how to just chill.
I'm like, what a waste. What a waste. I could have been playing a show.
It sucks. I can't vacation. I've never vacationed.
I felt guilty about coming here just to go to a concert.
Why?
And was so relieved that you asked me to do a live session because I was like, thank God, at least I'm being productive or whatever while I'm here and getting my music into some new ears potentially.
I don't know how to not ask/force an artist to do a podcast and a session when they come.
Like I said, relief. I was like, because I just feel like the whole mission of my life is to share my music with other people. And if I'm not doing that every opportunity I have, then it feels like kind of a waste maybe. But
that's funny because the whole mission of my life is to share other people's music with other people.
Yeah. Which is, we need you and not me, you know what I mean?
Hey, man, a solid bridge with good geometry and good downforce, man, you need that. You need that perfect arch, just distribute that weight right. Good foundation.
Takes all kinds,
Takes
baby.
a village.
It takes an Icelandic village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Where would you want to
go? Now's a really bad time, but I'd like to go to Jerusalem.
I was going to say a really bad joke that was insensitive, but I didn't do it.
No, I'd love to go. I'd love to
I'll tell my joke now, but I don't mean it.
It's okay. You can edit it out.
I was going to say it's between two places, Ukraine or Jerusalem.
I'd love to see the Vatican.
I would love to go to those places. In all seriousness, but
Italy's
it's really
on the
sad
list
right now that these things are happening.
Yeah. Love to. I mean, this is the thing: is that Jeff and I have been talking about going to Japan for years now, and
basic.
Yeah, right. I just feel like we just can't. We can't get ourselves to do it because we just feel like if we're gonna take the time off to do that and spend the money that it takes to travel and do all that, why wouldn't we do a tour?
Yeah.
It's just it feels crazy, especially while we're in the throes of Fell Off, which is a band that is very much active right now, and the iron is hot, and we want to strike, and we want to do as much as possible while we're excited about this project, and while we feel excited about getting it. The shows are good, and the turnouts have been good, and people are listening, and the feedback has been great, and to just be cool, great. Now, instead of going on tour, I'm going to go to Japan.
Why don't you tour in Japan?
That sounds like a lot of
No,
work.
the two of you.
Oh, it's not really that kind of band.
Make it.
Do
your own thing.
I mean, if you heard it, you'd be like, this is impossible.
Just do your own thing. Make 5-6 songs together, and then just do shows, just 2-person shows around.
I could.
Why not?
I could. I will say, juggling the 3 projects that I'm doing right now is already enough. I can't imagine. Yeah, I already also just this is I feel like this is a I feel like I was coming on this podcast to talk about DIY music, and we have talked about a lot of bullshit, but
let's talk about DIY music.
In terms of DIY music, the way that DIY touring has changed post-pandemic, it's so different, and it's so much harder.
Talk about it.
That now I'm I don't want to. I'm only gonna DIY tour if I feel like it's really worth. Okay, get it together, bud. Woo! Edit it out.
That's some good banana.
Chop it out.
Oh, what in the world? How is that stuff legal? That vape stuff's
Ooh-wee.
I'm such a noob.
So
keep going on.
I think that you had a lot of I feel like I knew a lot more road dog people who have just been DIY touring for 8 to 10 years.
Absolutely,
and and they just they do it all the time, and that's part of their bands Steez is that they're just they only ever play to 50 to 100 people, but they do it all the time. 2 months out of the year they're on the road, and they're just hitting all the stops in the US, and I just feel like that idea of doing that used to appeal to me. And now I'm like, my God, does it take me 100 hours just to book like 6 shows on the West Coast if I'm cold calling, especially for the kind of music that I do as Rob Joynes. It's hard to place. It's hard to build those bills that make sense and that will get, if I don't want to play to just like a dozen people. If I want to play to any substantial amount of people, it's like you really got to like comb and curate, and it's just tough. And also like a lot of that kind of booking for like house shows and stuff is all done through like Instagram now, a lot less emails, like a lot. Yeah. It's like, so, the whole thing is a lot harder. And when we went on tour with Fell Off, I didn't book it. It was booked by our guitarist, who's the booker at Vera Project in Seattle, which is a DIY, operation, it's like a all ages music operation. And, so they are connected with a lot of like places like Holland Project in Reno or, whatever. And we're able to do like a lot more of that. And I was like, and it just came together so much faster. And I'm like, oh, you're telling me that the reason this is so hard for me is because I'm just some guy, just some like jabroni, you know what I mean? Like I can like,
don't ever want to be a jabroni.
and I can get you a show in Seattle, but like only by passing you on to somebody who actually like books those shows and like, makes it happen and promotes it and stuff. So like my connections are like largely just dead, like they're like,
why?
Because they're old, because the pandemic wiped a lot of stuff out, and like 2 years went by as well. And even though like, even though it feels like we were frozen in time kind of, and on the other end of it, we're like, okay, now we need to pick up where we left off. That's simply not the reality.
Right.
Like people did move or their lifestyles or living situations changed or their priorities changed, and maybe they don't really do the live music thing so much anymore. But there's like a whole new crop of like other people that do, and I don't know them yet because I haven't met them. So I have to start at square one again. And that means that like if I'm going to take a band on the road, I'm asking those bandmates, my friends, to lose money, to like take a dive for my music, Rob Joynes. Like, like, hey, here's a band with my name on it. Can you lose a bunch of wages from work and spend your vacation days helping me live my dream? Like, it's like, it doesn't really seem fair. So I can do it solo, and I will and have. Like I did fly out dates last year with just a laptop and a mixer and a sampler and like, and I went out and I did that kind of set. And it was fun. It felt exploratory. Like it felt like I was like, oh, next time I come back, I'll have a couple more connections or whatever. And so that did give me a little hope there. But I will say like making the best recorded music I can is much more of a priority to me right now than like road dogging. Mm-hmm. That's just like me personally, but I think that coupled with the way that DIY touring landscape changed, and maybe it just became less accessible to me because of my age too, like because I'm not 23 and will do anything and sleep on any floor anymore.
What do you mean?
No, I still will.
We got you a Queen Air mattress.
Fuck it, I still will.
Hey, this is not too bad, right?
This is like much nicer than half the places.
Half, not all.
I would say like this is much nicer than 90% of the places.
Am I just missing an actual bedroom for you?
Half was just a word. I'm saying this is literally nicer.
You got your own shower and bathroom?
Yeah, this is
you got
literally
your own laundry room.
Nicer than 90%.
You have a second place. If you don't like that, you got a futon. Mm-hmm. You have a podcast studio.
I wake up once an hour.
You need to get some fresh air. You got a door right there.
Overnight, I'm sleeping, I'm tossing, I'm turning. I'm waking up every hour. I'm switching futon, mattress, just living it up.
No, it's not too bad. I've slept in some places. Mm-hmm. And this is a good middle ground. Obviously, one notch above would be like a bedroom.
Now, I did see one spider.
Really?
I did crush it.
I've never seen a spider down here.
I killed that fucking spider.
This is a pretty...
I smacked the shit out of it.
Because we don't have... animals, and I 99% of the time
tiny.
Don't allow
it was smaller than a
dime.
Here.
No food down here, no smoking.
It's a tiny spider, smaller than
I'm just saying, like, there's kids, if you want to keep your DIY place or studio place or collaborative space clean, keep food and drinks out of it. It'll help with most of the problem.
Roaches. I don't mind a roach. Roaches.
If I see a
don't
roach,
mind.
I'm not happy. I was like, that means something wrong is happening.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm sleeping somewhere, like I would rather sleep with roaches than spiders.
What is wrong with you?
Well, because spiders will fucking like.
They're not going to do anything.
No, the spiders will fuck you up,
No,
bro.
they're not going to do anything.
I'm also very afraid of spiders.
Yeah, it sounds like it because they're not going to do anything.
They'll bite you.
We live in Chicago. There are 0 poisonous spiders here, and they're not going to bite you unless you hurt them or do something to them.
I was
or
talking
shake.
about like California,
Well, does
which
it
is like
sound
where-
like I'm in California?
where I have played the most amount of like shows on tour.
For those who don't know, the animals, reptiles, spiders, snakes, amphibians, insects in Chicago are not threatening. The most threatening thing you'll find isn't going to threaten you is a coyote. Look out for your small dogs and your pet rabbits, but that's about it. Spiders, bees, bugs, they're only going to go after you if you're disturbing them or threatening them or vibrating too much. So if you stand still and they go on you, you don't do anything, they're not going to do anything to you. They have no need to. I've slept with a lot of bugs.
Well, you've put my mind at ease because, frankly, this place is infested with spiders.
The old DZ that you saw 6 years ago, I lived in there for like a decade.
Yeah.
And it was completely unprotected from insects. They could have got in it every way, left and right. And I slept with them. I've felt them crawling on me at night. I didn't care at all. They didn't do anything.
You
Nothing.
were comforted. You thought, you know what? At least I'm not alone.
You realize it's all in your head. It's all in your head. I would destroy Fear Factor. I wish I could have been on that show 20 years ago.
Damn.
When I was a kid and I watched it, I was like, I could do that. I could do that. That doesn't bother me. I'd eat those testicles. I'd chill with those snakes. I'd jump off that cliff. That car ride looks awesome. Those horses I'd ride. 0 of those things looked scary or threatening. I was like, I need to get on this show, but I was too young. I'm probably not pretty enough. It's always a bunch of attractive people on that show that are fit and stuff. You know?
Yeah, they're like, I think it would be a very different kind of show if they just had a bunch of like schlubby schmucks and they were like, eat a fucking spider.
Like, all right.
And you're just like, and there's just like a fucking like greasy dude who's just like, yeah, fucking I'll eat a spider.
I used to eat bugs at parties to spice it up and mess with people. They'd be like, oh my God, there's a spider in the kitchen. I just go up to it and just eat it, put it in my mouth, and it all just...
The first thing that Ben does when he's on a date with a woman is he asks, do you like swirlies? And then he eats a spider.
Yeah. And if they stick around, we're set.
Yeah, marriage. Marriage is
No,
right. The wedding bells are ringing.
I have realized that you need someone who compliments you, is the opposite. I need someone to normalize me and bring me back to earth because I'm too out there in the clouds with... Just a little wild, and I just need someone to center me. I don't want someone as wild
Opposites
as me.
attract. You need a woman that hates swirlies and spiders.
No, my girlfriend loves the swirlies. Pride does not like spiders, but she is not like me in any of my wildness, which is good. You know, when we go to the beach now, I still have gone swimming in this weather, and I'm the only one out there in the water because it is 55 degrees, and she's just shaking her head at me, but it's like, hey, I will do that. I love cold water. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to try to go swimming once a month the whole year. So I'm going to try to go in the winter too.
Oh, you're going to do full-on pull or plunge situation.
Yeah, I used to do it when I was a kid. I used to, go out there, break the ice with a sledgehammer and jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And which I have no idea why the adults let me do that at like 9. But hey, it taught me a lot that most of the fear is an anticipation and it's in your head. It's not really real. Especially stuff that you'll be okay. Like, I'm at a beach. I'm not, like, jumping into deep water. It's 8 inches deep. Like, I'm not going to be swept away or go under and get frostbite or anything.
No, I can't say that appeals to me. I'm not much of an outdoorsy guy, let alone jumping into ice water. I don't understand the appeal. I like a cozy indoors.
I like cozy indoors, but life is too easy. It's too soft.
I watch
need
a
something
lot
to
of horror
spice it up.
movies, so therefore I don't leave the city. I like, okay, I flew from one city to another. I never am not in like an urban area.
Really? You don't like nature?
No,
What?
not
You gotta
really.
go camping with me, Rob.
No.
I'll teach you a
I
good
went
time.
camping with my brother like once last year and it rained.
We'll do a double date camping trip.
And I
I'll
was like,
teach you all how to hang.
I didn't even have a tent. I slept in my van and I was like, it was raining and I was just laughing to myself watching movies on my laptop being like, what?
Glamping.
What do people enjoy about
You gotta
this?
go camping with no internet connection.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't like it?
I just, I'm a city boy. I'm a city boy.
Soft. He's soft.
I'm a softie.
I like both. I love both. I love the access to information, food, culture, people, different architecture, different histories, museums. I love everything about Chicago, New York, big cities. It's great. But equally, love absolutely the middle of nowhere. You could throw me in the middle of nowhere for a month, I'd be happy. If I had the means to compensate work, I would do that every other month.
Now, mind you, I grew up Eastern Washington.
Spokane.
Yeah, not in the boonies by any means. Definitely like in civilization, but very like just a bike ride away from hikes and rivers and you know, like I had a real boy and his dog childhood. You know, black lab. And
How far? Wait, what town were you in specifically?
I was in Spokane.
Okay,
But I was in the county, so like north of Spokane. The next town up is Meade.
How far were you from Trevor? Do you know?
Minutes.
Minutes.
Yeah, we grew up.
And you guys never hung out?
Neighborhood apart. We were on the high school improv team
But I
together.
mean, like outside of school.
Well, he was a year younger than me, and I had pretty much like stopped going to high school by the time
Right, you were too cool
would've-
for school, literally.
Yeah. By the time we would have maybe run in the same circles, like I was out of there. I had one foot out the door, so
But he grew up kind of on some land. There was some property around him.
don't know.
That's what he says, like open space,
Yeah.
forest and open space and stuff.
Don't know. Didn't know him then. I will say a lot of people from Spokane, from like my world, like growing up, grew up to be some of the coolest, most creative people you'll ever meet. You know, and so like I'm very pleased to have like reconnected with Trevor, you know, even though we weren't really friends in high school, because I think we did come from a pretty exceptional group of people. Maybe other creatives feel that way. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're like, I got out of my hometown and like I never looked back or whatever. You know, I know a lot of people like did escape situations where it was a creative drain for them, like their creativity was not fostered by the community that they were raised in.
Yeah.
But for me, man, my high school experience was pretty great. Like second 2 years, like junior and senior year, I didn't go to the high school, but I was in the building in my senior year, I was in the building for improv practice, like once a week or every other week.
That's
or
cool.
whatever.
Your school had an improv class. That's awesome.
It was just run by students. It was not like
Still cool,
it was
though.
not an established thing at all.
It's still cool.
Yeah. It was just my friend Mike and my friend Jake, who also are creatives, and I've worked with Jake on other projects since, and like I wasn't even friends with him in high school really either, but he went on to like do writing and you know stuff, and but yeah, just Jake and Mike just like ran the improv team, and I'm sure it was a nightmare. I mean, I'm thrilled.
Student ran things don't go the best sometimes.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that there is no like footage that I'm aware of that exists.
Aren't you
of
glad
us performing?
that we were in a time when there is no footage of what we were doing in high school?
I am glad about that.
Very glad.
I am glad about that. I'm disappointed that even like my early 20s were captured. You know what I mean? I would be fine if like the public and very, very recorded nature of the way we live now, if that would have started like 6 years ago, I'd be gold. Like everything before that, I can just toss in the trash.
Do you put a lot of stuff on to the internet of your private life, or like in like the behind the scenes or in between life, or do you mostly just keep it like music and stuff?
I have you know, peaks and valleys in terms of my interaction with social media. I will go for like 2 months without posting a story or anything. But I'm on it. You know, I'm seeing what's going on. I feel like pretty left out if I can't see who's releasing music and what's going on in our scene, you know.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
and also artwork, you know, visual art stuff. And but I don't feel the need to like constantly be creating content out of my regular life.
Of course.
When it's interesting, I do. I think there is this like kind of there can be a negative attitude towards the thing of for instance, like Instagram being just highlights of the best things about your life. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. Like I don't want to see somebody just eating a bowl of cereal and watching Desperate Housewives or whatever. Like,
Yeah, you do not want to see me eat pizza.
But I want to
on
see
Instagram.
I want to find out if somebody got married or if a friend of mine is in Berlin. That's interesting. Oh, cool. I'll ask them about that next time I see him. Like, got to see some cool pictures of that or whatever. Like, I think social media is what you make it, and like I think a lot of people are bringing their own negative baggage to it, and maybe they're feeling inadequate in their lives or struggling with something, and social media can really exemplify that and exacerbate people's like feelings of isolation or inadequacy or like my life is not as interesting as all these other people who are like doing cool stuff on social media. But
what it doesn't show with like my life's not as cool as that person's life is all the groundwork to even get to like putting up that post, which might show like maybe a cool show or behind the stage is a theater or even a really cool studio. It's like, you know what it took to get to that? That's what they're not showing, like all that effort and hard work that it takes to, when you do post the thing, that people are like, oh, I can't believe you get to do that. It's like, this wasn't just overnight.
This wasn't by accident, homie. I made some pretty serious sacrifices.
I gave my life to this, literally financially, loans, risks, everything to do this and be here and still working on it. And there's a lot of post part of this to even put out the footage. You know, the podcast, the sessions, the shows, the festival, the traveling, all of it is an immense amount of work. I've never had a sense of a normal life, not even close.
What is a normal life?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
And I'm really, really happy with like the way that I've structured my life.
Yeah.
Because I didn't take on things that couldn't be sacrificed, you know? Like, and I actually would really regret if I had, because it would have like hindered my ability to like make music and put it out into the world and you know, make cool shit, do cool shit. Like I like to make projects and I like to do cool things and experience other people's music and stuff. But like, yeah, I mean,
You sound tired.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, it just made me sound like going to shows or experiencing other people's music is somehow work or require sacrifice. But I'm a bartender, so I have to like see a lot of people and hear a lot of people who are fucking miserable. And
tell me some of the stuff they tell you.
So I have like worked at a lot of different kinds of bars.
How many?
I don't
7.
know, 6 or 7, sure. Maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. And not always consistently. Sometimes I fill in at bars or I work.
How long have you been in bars, working in bars?
I've been a bartender for 6 years.
Okay. So a while. Okay.
Yeah. And like, you know, I've worked at like neighborhood dives where, you know, you see the same people every day playing the pull tabs. I don't know if you guys have pull tabs here, if that's a thing. It's a form of gambling.
No. Gambling.
Yeah, in the bars, it's like tickets that you open. Okay. They're like little lotto tickets, kind of. And you know, people are like addicted to that. They're addicted to drinking. You know, they're staring into their beer, and they're like, you know, and they're just Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Like, oh, bet you I could have thrown a football over them mountains. You know, and it's like, and I'm like, I just can't fathom like living like that. I totally sympathize with people who do feel stuck, or that their situations or their geographical proximity or whatever has like hindered their ability to like to live a satisfying life. But
absolutely, yeah.
But I also am just the kind of person who I seriously don't have time to spend in a bar. If I'm not working there, I cannot just be like, I'm going to go kill 3 hours at the bar by myself, like just go hang out with the regulars. Like there is so much shit I have to do. If I have 2 or 3 hours to spare, I'll probably be going to the movies and catch a movie that I haven't seen yet.
It's more productive.
I mean, I don't even think it's productive so much as like that's more interesting to me and more.
I mean, it's definitely not as detrimental to your mind and emotions and physical health.
I think you certainly can lead a full and happy life that is small, localized, and largely takes place at your local bar. I think there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do.
I mean, if you're sitting there drinking every day at a bar, that usually...
If you're sitting there drinking there every day and complaining to me about how your life sucks and continuing to do absolutely nothing to change it, it gets a little hard for me to sympathize with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when I have to see it all the time.
How many, if you could throw out, anecdotally, if you could throw out a number, how many alcoholics have you encountered?
2 million. I don't, it's impossible
That's
to
like
say.
when an astrophysicist is asked, like, how many galaxies are there?
How
They're
many
like,
stars are
I don't know,
there?
like 2 to the 18th trillion. You're
Yeah.
like, what?
I did work at one bar in particular, no names mentioned, that was a very, very sad place to work and was very much weighing on me
that's
emotionally. The
sad.
place I work at now is not really like that at all. There are like people on the block who never leave the block and are constantly talking about like, man, my shit is dope. Like I'm going to blow up one of these days. I'm like, yeah, but you never leave this block and like you're not really actively taking the steps or working hard to raise money for a project because like sometimes good music does cost money, you know?
Absolutely.
And if you are like, if you're choosing not really to work that much and make that much money, and then the money that you do have or make, you're spending at this very expensive bar that I work at, it's like, okay, like maybe break that habit so that you can like put that money toward, just change up your life,
Expensive how? Like what's an old fashioned cost? With mid-range bourbon. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
When I see them here in Chicago and they're $20, I'm like, this is why I don't drink at bars.
Definitely not that kind of bar. This is like I'm not that kind of bartender either. Like I'm a dive bar guy. Like this is like we're talking like venues, dives. We're talking like vodka sodas and like beers. Like it's like
what's the cheapest beer you guys have?
Rainier is our like our Yingling. It's like our regional. And
what is it like $2?
Yeah, like a tall can's like $2 to $5 depending on what neighborhood you're in.
Yeah.
A draft is like $3 to $5 or $6 maybe.
Love me a draft.
It's just like I don't know if you know like Olympia. That's our other like piss beer. It's our other like.
It's the capital.
It is, but they're the beer. Yeah, Olympia beer, which I guess probably comes from Olympia, like the city.
I know more about Washington than you.
Yeah. That beer is also like that. That's like what my grandfather like drank a sixer of Rainier like till the day he died kind of beer. It's like, but it's like So I'm like, I'm just like, okay, like I'm like I cannot. In some ways it's like almost like mentally taxing on me to like. I miss working a job before I was a bartender when I could just like listen to music and podcasts all day and not talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. I'm sometimes like hoarse at the end of the day. I mean, I'm talking for, you're a teacher, you're literally lecturing.
I'm fried. I'll do 6 hours and I'm like soaked in sweat and my brain
so
feels like
tired,
it was put into a blender.
And your voice is just crusty. And
my voice starts to hurt. Absolutely.
And I do miss like not having to do that sometimes, and I feel like it really sucks my energy out in a way that makes me like uncreative when I go home after a shift. I can't just like write a song. I do have to like I work on music on my off days. I can go home and like listen to like an audiobook and do the dishes, and I can be productive in that way.
Sure.
But I can't really be creative.
You're tapping into a different part of the brain.
So in some ways it like really burns me out, like to like have to just be like to just have the the burnouts who are just drinking at the bar every fucking day. But like the other hand, it does like motivate me to it has in the past like motivated me to be like, okay, I don't want it to be that.
Yeah.
I actually like the last bar that I worked at. So like the current bar that I work at is a lot of creatives. I mean, yes, on the weekends it's party people, but like a lot of the people in our neighborhood, they are artists. Like everyone, the guy serving you your burger is in a band that like has toured the country. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's that kind of part of town. So like, these are cool, like real like people who like, are like, are doing that kind of stuff. And so this doesn't really apply as much, but that last bar that I worked at really made me never want to hang out in a bar like just to kill time.
Yeah.
Like ever again. And I since have stopped. Like I don't just like go to the bar to like make time disappear anymore.
No, I rarely go to bars.
I go for shows. Mm-hmm. I go for like if my friends invited me out and it's like, oh wow, I haven't seen this person. Yeah, we want to like hang out and catch up, but like I'm not just like, oh, I've got a Thursday night free. I'm gonna go to the bar and like play pull tabs and whatever.
It's hard for me to go to a bar just to hang. Like if the bar has something I don't have, like a venue, pool tables, something, DJ spinning vinyl, whatever it is that I don't have, I have no problem going. But with what you saw upstairs, it's really hard for me to go to bars because I have so much better stuff here.
Oh yeah, your home rules. Like I would never leave this fucking place. There's so much to do here.
Yeah, I usually don't. I mean, we have I do podcasts. We have band practice
I haven't shown you
mean,
a picture, but I'm a VHS collector, so I have like
Yeah.
thousands of fucking dope rare tapes that I haven't even seen yet. I got a zine rack. Like I go to like this there's a festival in Seattle called Short Run I go every year, and I stock up. I got zines that I could just like, I got lots of shit to do, man. I'm never and that doesn't even factor in like the time it takes to record music, which like I could spend 8 hours in my studio just on an off day. And just be left alone, and I really value that. So is pinball like a much of a thing here in Chicago?
I've seen it at places, especially there's some cool arcade places. Emporium is a cool bar, arcade, pool table. They have shows there. It's a cool spot.
I think people in Seattle maybe kind of take for granted that like pinball is everywhere. It's like Seattle's like a pinball like capital.
Okay.
And every bar has pinball machines. There are leagues. People,
wow.
People.
I don't think it's quite like that.
Yeah,
here.
people play competitively. There are bars that are just pinball bars, and even me as like just a person who has spent time in venues and bars, and I don't even consider myself to be a pinball person, but I can like crush certain machines. Like I can like I have my machines, and like I it's just the proximity to it. Like everybody in Seattle plays pinball.
Huh? Yeah, I don't think it's quite that popular here.
Yeah.
I had a really cool pinball machine in my garage for a while. My friend Steven had it in his living room for a while.
What was the game?
It was Hook. Like,
Okay, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like when you do a certain, like the ball goes into a certain tube. And
That era
you
of
get,
game is like my favorite.
Yeah, it's like 1991
I love
or something.
Like, Sopranos, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, like Black Knight, Medieval Madness, like Jurassic Park, like a lot of like those
Terminator
90s movies.
So
those machines were either made once the movie was a hit or like later, early 2000s. And so a lot of them are in like good condition. They're upkept. The farther back you go, like the games get much harder to play because they're either just older or they're just like it's just like video games, right?
Yeah.
It's like, video games get more intuitive and easier to play, and they're just designed better and with the user in mind. And some of these retro games are really tough.
Yeah. The pinball machine was fun though. We played it every day in my house. Hook. I remember when the ball would go into a certain place and the guy would go, "You can fly, you can fight, you can crow."
I can't even watch like Lord of the Rings without like every time I hear a line like in the Lord of the Rings movie that's in the pinball machine, it just all of a sudden my brain just goes like multi-ball, here we go. Like,
man, it'd be fun.
When Saruman goes, "A new era or a new age is rising to war," that's the beginning of the multi-ball on the game. And it like, it's like,
that's funny.
Yeah. They're taking the Hobbits to Isengard,
I used to love those movies. I saw them all opening night when they came out in 2001, 2, and 3.
Let me tell you, I had an experience with those movies recently because they were out when I was growing up, and we had them. They were some of the first DVDs we ever owned. I don't know why, box set or something, but so I always just kind of took them for granted as like movies that exist. They're out in the world, like like a lot of people see them as comfort food movies or whatever. But Jeff had been rewatching them or falling asleep to them or whatever, and I would just like get really sucked in, even though I know nothing really about Lord of the Rings or the lore, or I've never read the books or anything. I read The Hobbit, but like I felt like that was pretty easy. I mean, like Lord of the Rings is a little bit different, and they have the extended versions on HBO now that are like they're 4 hours plus per movie.
Yeah.
And I just said,
I have those on Blu-ray. I think the extended versions.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna spend a week where like all I watch is like Lord of the Rings. Like I'll just dip in and out, when I have an hour or two. And by the end, I was like in tears. I was like, these movies are so fucking good. It's amazing that they were able to capture a story of this magnitude on screen. It's like a seemingly impossible feat. And I feel like the narrative around the time when they were coming out was no one's going to be satisfied because the fans are going to be like, they left out so much. And the people who aren't fans of the books are just going to be like, I have no idea what's happening because there's 30 characters and they all have like crazy backstories.
Peter Jackson did a good job.
The fact that they were able to make a layman like me just totally understand everything that was going on is a feat. Yeah. So
great movies. They were fun movies.
Great movies.
The Hobbits though, booty.
Never saw them.
They're not good. They're
Yeah.
so bad. The CGI.
I'm not
to
really
the
much of a.
max.
I'm not really much of like a fantasy or sci-fi kind of guy. Like my wheelhouse for VHS collecting is 80s action and horror, slashers, campy slashers. That's kind of my stuff. You know, I love really bad. Like there's a movie called Trax, Traxx. That is like just horrible trash like movie that I love.
That's
like
fun.
it's like a real just like getting too old for this shit kind of movie. Like
VHS. I used to have a really cool collection of those. I got rid of them when I moved, and I mean, I grew up in the VHS world. I had so many VHS. There's a really cool DIY venue that you would like to visit and or play with any of your bands in Chicago. It's called VHS, and the theme there is it's just wall to wall VHS.
can we go there tonight? Is it open?
I'll look into it. I'll let you know. But probably
I'd love to check that out.
it's cool.
I try not to like
Play there. You should
Yeah,
play there.
unless I'm driving, I try not to like go places where I can buy VHS because I don't want to like fly home with a bunch of tapes. Like they're sensitive, you know. Little. It's physical media, so it's it can deteriorate and stuff. And
I had so many VHS.
I saw on a something I had never seen before on Instagram from an account that I follow that collects and trades and sells rare movies, and they posted a picture of a sticker they saw on a tape from a video store, like a what do they call that when it's when they're getting rid of stock, so they just sell it off or whatever, you know. And it said it said, "Do not rewind immediately after watching." It was like It was like a not be kind rewind. It was like rewind before you watch the movie because the tape stretches and warps. It gets warm when you're watching it, and if you rewind it immediately after watching, it can warp the tape.
That makes sense.
And I was like, I have never heard that before. And I
That
think
makes sense.
I think that's probably a little overly sensitive. You know, it's like you can beat these tapes up pretty bad, and they survive a lot of shit.
That
But
sounds
But
familiar.
it did make me think that I'm just gonna, from now on, when I watch a movie and I put it back in my collection, I'll save rewinding for what before I watch it.
I used to love rewinding.
I have a couple of little car rewinders.
Yeah, I was just
you
gonna
know.
say we had a 1957 Chevy red rewinder. That
I have that one.
Do you?
Yeah, I have that exact. yeah,
that's like my childhood.
Yeah. It's in my
we had
guest
a black
room.
one. We had that one, and I remember like we would measure which one was faster, like the actual VCR. When you turn it off, you hit stop and then hit rewind versus doing it while it's playing, which was always faster. And then doing the external rewinder, we'd like just take bets on it. I'm like 7 years old.
I'm like, what a silly piece of technology, because is your time really so valuable that, like, say you're watching like back when they used to say like Friends, okay, a show that was released for home media on VHS. You could watch episodes, like you could watch a whole season of Friends on VHS. It's like 5 tapes in a box or whatever. Takes up so much space, but your time is so valuable that you need to, okay, I'm binge watching Friends, just finished one tape and I'm going to put the next one in, but I cannot wait. I don't have time for it to rewind. So I'm going to put in the next tape and put my tape into the rewinder.
I mean, it's one of those things.
Like, why does it need to exist?
It's just because that technology is just built for that task. It does do it better, and it doesn't wear down the mechanics for the one that you want to just use to watch stuff forward, because those are moving parts.
I'm not convinced.
Do you know what I'm saying, though? It's
think
going to
that
break down those
the
parts
car
faster.
The car one in particular, I think, is purely aesthetic.
Well, yeah, they do that because it's fun.
I don't think that it's like better for the tape.
No.
And if it is so negligible.
What I'm saying is the mechanism on the VCR, right? It plays forward and backwards. It does a bunch of different stuff. When you take the tape out, instead of rewinding it in that VCR, it's going to wear down the components in that VCR more, which you should save for the quality for when you do just watch stuff off of it, and beat down the external rewinder that's cheaper, that is designed just for rewinding, so it will do it quicker. And that's all its job is, and it might be $30. You can replace it versus your nice fancy Sony or Kenmore VCR that might be
Well,
or
and not to
Toshiba.
mention, but on a lot of these TV VCR combos, these CRT, whatever they're called, is that the VCRs will go out on them long before the tube TV does.
Of
I mean, the
course.
tube TV will last you 20 years.
Oh, dude,
so
forever.
you know it's a pain in the ass finding, and now those are going on eBay for crazy money.
Those TVs?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've smashed so many of those.
The ones that
So
are
many.
combos.
Yeah, I've smashed so many.
Smashed.
I'm wild. What did I tell you? I need some new.
You just smash TVs? How destructive.
I've blown up and smashed so many things. I was inspired by Mythbusters and how it's made and Einstein. You know,
They tell you not to do it at home.
Everything,
You fucking rebel.
everything that they said not to do at home, I've done at home. I used to climb to the top of the tree in the backyard, that one with the platform. If you remember it, the old Hickory Hills house.
Yeah.
I climbed to the top of the tree. It's 100 feet up, and I would carry computer monitors, TVs, and then throw them off
Sure,
and
your
watch
parents
them blow
just
up.
loved that.
I just did it when they weren't around.
I was gonna, or I thought,
Or they were around, and I was like, I'm 300 feet away, so
then
they
I
don't
thought
know.
like, or you were gonna be like, no, I did this after they moved out of that house. I just, as a full grown man.
No, I've done it. I did it most of it as a teenager. But yeah, we used to smash stuff all the time. I'd take a sledgehammer and just go right through that screen.
So
watch
give
it
me
blow
like,
up.
give me your like comfort food. If you're gonna pop in a tape so you can go to sleep, it's gonna lull you to sleep.
A
And then
VHS
what's your
tape?
comfort food movie?
On my VHS or like Netflix on
Yeah.
my phone.
I think it's got to be like VHS worthy.
Jeez, I haven't watched a VHS in ages, but if I were to be in a situation where I have like an old tube TV with a VCR and I'm plugging in a VHS,
Which you will be if you come to Seattle and stay in my guest room.
is the RCA, are the red and white audio cables, are they going to external speakers or just audio from the TV?
It's audio from the TV.
All right, fine. No. Comfort food, probably a frozen pizza. Because that'll bring me back to what I used to do when I was a kid.
But
Frozen
now I'm
pizza and
so
VHS.
sorry, but you're making me like very like self-conscious right now. Like you're making me think that I need to get speakers for the guest room.
Everyone ever, always, for every situation.
But I kinda like
when
the
you
way it
have
sounds.
a TV, you need
I
external
kind of like the
speakers.
way that TV sounds because it's so janky.
The TV is designed for one thing: display. It does everything else poorly. So
Okay, but I think there's something to be said. It brings me back to childhood to have the shitty little TV
So what's
VCR
funny
combo
is
and
it-
to listen to the horrible tinny shrill
Right.
audio from those
It
little
does
speakers. If I'm
slightly-
watching My Cousin Vinny on VHS, you know what I mean? Do I really need the external speakers?
The problem is, Rob, when I was quite young, my dad had a dope sound system, a nice, massive Pioneer, 15-inch subs, 4-inch mid, 1-inch tweeter, full range sound system, graphic equalizers, turntable, 6-disc CD changer, 2 cassettes, dual, you can record stuff on. So when I discovered that I could take this RCA of yellow, red, and white, I could keep the yellow in the TV split, because the cables were kind of like glued, you split off without breaking the white and red and stretch it and plug it into the back of the VC or the back of the receiver, the power amp receiver in the back of the stereo, into aux 1 and 2 or just aux 1, and then you select aux 1 on the input select, and you can have a full range sound system of your VHS. Once I discovered that,
It changed My Cousin Vinny forever.
it changed Hook and E.T.
Yeah.
and
Well, E.T.,
Lost
that's-
Boys.
yeah. Okay,
and,
sure.
Goonies and
Adventure
Monster Squad.
So you like adventure
Monster
movies?
Squad.
You're
God.
into the adventure movies.
Land Before Time, Never Ending Story, Page Master,
and
Monster
these are a lot
Squad,
of also
Widow.
these are also a lot of coming of age movies
yeah.
too. You like
Oh,
a
yeah.
good like boys growing up.
Well, see, I was born in
movies.
1989, so I'm like in the thick middle of being a millennial. But I always tell people I grew up with the technology and pop culture of Gen X, and I grew up with the mindset of a boomer. And I don't mean that in my beliefs or anything. I just like latchkey kid, like go out and play till the sun sets. Like seriously, like my whole life. That's why I'm a
ditto.
wild
Same
man.
way, yeah.
Like zero rules about like. Just,
And that's why
do you
I'm
think
a
I was
city
blowing
boy.
up stuff and
That's why I'm a
smashing
city
things?
boy now because I got it all out of my system.
Oh, I don't. I gotta keep. It was so much fun. It's the best way to live. I mean, any other way is just sad.
I was like basketball. Like let's
Oh my God.
let's go shoot hoops until the sun goes down.
Let's shoot something. Basketball, BB guns,
Yeah,
pellet
BB guns for sure.
paintball,
Shooting those cans
basketball,
off,
football,
shooting
golf.
those cans off a sawhorse.
I made a mini golf course in my backyard. I made a 9-hole golf course across my neighbors' yards without asking them. I just dug holes and just made a course and mowed the grass at different heights. Like I just did whatever I wanted all the time. And it was awesome. It was great. But the same is true for what I would watch. But the thing is, my family is really, really big. And I had uncles and aunts born from 1948 to 1968. And with that, they had kids at many ages. So I have cousins that are born in 1968, same age as the youngest aunt I have, all the way to 2002. So there was many generations of our cousins, and our family is really big. And at the old house, that was the main house. My grandpa built the house, so the whole family always hung out there. We have like 3 generations of cousins. I was the youngest of the last, or the first generation. So I had cousins that were born in the 60s and 70s who I grew up with, who I got the hand-me-downs from. They're Gen Xers. So although I'm born in 89, a lot of my cousins, I'm also the youngest of my siblings, and they grew up with older cousins. So I had all the movie and technology and the video games and music and clothing and ideas and ways of living. It's a little bit older than what I grew up with. And you throw on top of the fact that when you grow up with less means and less access to information, I didn't have cable, didn't have the internet, didn't have a computer, nothing. Wasn't allowed to watch cable, just basic TV, which is nothing. You even grow up even more behind, like more old. Like it's like I'm leaving further behind. And hand-me-downs from brothers, you got it from cousins. So even my fashion sense, everything I know is all old. So yes, I'm born 1989, but sometimes when I hear even people my age talk about their upbringing who did have cable, who did have cell phones, who did have internet, who did get new clothes, who were allowed to watch South Park and stuff, I can't relate to them. They did watch Doug.
So
They
what
did
I'm
watch
hearing,
Rocket
what
Power.
I'm really hearing from all this, what I'm taking away is if a butterfly had flapped its wings just one time more different or whatever, I can totally see you being the proprietor of a mini golf course. Maybe a chain of mini golf courses. I love mini golf. It's a great thing to do on tour with your band because it's like a good way. We have the afternoon.
It's always cheap.
We got 3 hours before sound check and we don't really know anything about this city or whatever, or we're in like bumfuck nowhere, New Jersey. Let's find a mini golf course.
Yeah, and they're never expensive.
It's always like $8.
Yeah, it's always between like $7 and $10.
And there's like nobody there.
And golf.
It's a Wednesday. Kids are at school.
Go-karting too, another $10. Oh yeah. So
I
much
also
fun.
love a bumper boats, bumper cars. Yeah, that's interesting. Kids these days, man, they'll never understand the RCA cable.
Yeah, they're like, what's
They'll
that?
never watch My Cousin Vinny.
Wait, you mean you just don't use Bluetooth and stream? It's like, bro.
You know what, though? I do go to people's houses, especially people who are a little younger than me, and my God, if they be watching everything out of the speakers on their TV, I cannot deal. I'm just like, no. It's like
I don't think I'll ever watch stuff out of a TV ever again.
I'm like, I can't.
Everywhere I go, where my life is existing, I bring them speakers. I hooked up my brother with speakers for his TV. My parents were theirs. My girlfriend with hers. Mine here. Every room where I consume stuff has a sound system.
If you have made it this far into the podcast, here we are in hour 6 of us talking about. Well, actually, where are we though?
Guess how long we've been talking?
Oh man, it's got to be over 2. Is it 2.5?
240.
240. Okay.
About.
Yeah, we've been talking like almost a Lord of the Rings amount of time. But if you're still listening and you do not have some kind of external speaker that you literally could buy for like $30 at your local Goodwill
Or on Facebook Marketplace or something.
you could probably get something for free.
Yeah.
You know?
Because someone wants to get rid of it.
What are you doing? How much do you not respect yourself and your life if you are watching shit through your TV speakers?
I'm going to put out a PSA right now.
All right, PSA.
Ready, kids? This will work. It'll double. It will quadruple in function. You can do your vinyl, your TV, your aux cable for your computer, which I recommend. So you don't do Bluetooth. You plug your laptop into it and then control all the music from your phone as a wireless remote, but it's still streaming straight from the cable and not Bluetooth. And you can have Bluetooth. And you can plug into your Blu-ray or a 4K or a video game console. You literally can do everything. Buy yourself a receiver. Get a Kenmore, a Sony,
and we're talking
Pioneer,
one set of speakers.
and one set of speakers.
That's what I have in my entertainment
Go on
center.
Facebook Marketplace,
Everything's plugged into it.
eBay, Craigslist, whatever, and I'd say top spend between $100 and $300 on that receiver and speakers. You're set for life. It's so simple. That receiver is a hub to connect all the technology you want from every type of medium you listen or watch or view or consume. You're set. You select between the different channels if you want to watch TV, vinyl, video games, streaming, phone, whatever.
So
You're
come
set.
on down to Ben's Audio Supply
It's so
and get
simple.
yourself
I'm
a
not saying
new
spend a
pair of
lot of money.
Pioneers.
Get it
And
done.
then, after you're done buying your new set of speakers, head on out to the back and we'll play mini golf at Ben's Mini Golf Palace.
We have an archery golf course. We have a paintball course. We blow up old TVs off a treehouse.
This is like, I'm saying like the space that DZ Fest was thrown in, like could have been like this. It could have been like a paintball / mini golf.
It was all of those things. I had a paintball course. There's a reason why there was a festival there. I didn't start off going with the fest.
Right. The festival evolved out of mini golf.
The festival happened at 22 years old. But since 2 years old, I was already doing wild stuff back there. So I got a lot of experience of learning how to
I'll
utilize
tell you what,
every inch of
I
that
feel
place.
like, I don't know. I hear a lot of kids these days shit from people who like didn't grow up like in the city or in Seattle, but they're like, oh, like kids these days don't just like ride their bikes around the neighborhood. I'm like, yeah, because they live in the fucking city. They're like, there is no yard. You know what I mean? Like they can't just like bike to the river and play poo sticks or whatever, you know?
Poo sticks.
So I'm like, but I still feel like the like kids growing up in farther out in the suburbs and around where I grew up in Spokane are probably still doing all that stuff. Maybe
haven't
not.
seen it.
Maybe I am the last of a generation that was just digging holes.
I don't think
I just dug holes.
I don't think they
Did you dig holes?
Yes.
I just dug holes.
I tried
Why?
making underground forts.
Me too.
Yeah.
It never worked.
No, it never worked. There's
It
so many
always-
roots. I was
so
an
would
idiot
you-
and did it in a forest.
Right, yeah. I did one time, though. I did make one where I got deep. It was not far. It was like 4 feet. We're talking like, if you ever watched the movie Holes with Shia LaBeouf,
Yeah.
they're digging like, what is it, like 5 by 5, like 5 foot deep and diameter 5, like every single day. I'm like, I maybe got 4 feet on this fucking hole. Put a piece of plywood over it. Cover it with dirt. Maybe like move some.
Put some sharpened bamboo sticks underneath it to kill your enemy.
You know, or well, no, I mean, this was the fort. You go into
I know,
it
I'm
and you got the
kidding.
roof, and you maybe put some.
Wait,
like,
so you did that stuff growing up and you're not into nature now? That's wild.
like I said, got it all out of my system.
Really? Isn't it? You don't
I
like
don't have
it?
time to dig holes anymore.
I'm not saying
You know, you grow up, you lose your childhood
saying to
wonder,
still dig
and you don't dig
holes.
holes anymore.
Sad.
You know,
you're breaking my heart.
I got to get my kids to school. I got to pay my mortgage. I can't be digging holes.
You're breaking my heart.
Yeah, I know. I really need to just dig some holes. You know what? I'm going to take a break from making music, booking shows, making records. I'm going to take some time for me, and I'm going to dig some holes. There's
should.
one thing I've gotten out of this
You
podcast. So, definitely did a lot of shenanigans as a childhood boy. I was on the very, very end of, I was the VHS to DVD changeover was like, was
Late 90s, early 2000s.
yeah. So, and I also, so I was born in 93, which means
month?
that March
March
16th.
I know, I'm kidding.
Okay. We already been down this road.
We did.
Pandemic day.
Jane, 3:16. John 3:16
John
over
3:16.
here.
I'm a holy guy.
Man. You know that Bible verse?
For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son. Who shall ever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Amen.
Amen, baby.
Amen.
I grew up in the church. I also think I'm probably like the last, the youngest person that still like remembers 9/11, happening because I was 7 years old. So, and I'm happy to be. Hopefully I live a long life. I'd like to live a very long time if possible, just because I want to see how things turn out, If I live into my 90s, I think it would be really, really cool to be the last person that remembers, one of the last people who remembers the turn of the century.
Sure.
Imagine talking to somebody who was born in, 1893, and what that was like and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, no one's going to want to listen to me. I'm just going to be some old coot that
Digging holes, playing putt-putt.
I'm just digging holes.
I can't wait.
Spotify took all my gold.
I can't wait to be old. Like, after 90, I'm gonna be a wild cowboy. Like, I'm gonna be like, what are you gonna do to me? I'm 90.
I mean, you heard my music. I feel like it's gonna lend itself very well to me being an old man. Like,
can you even get arrested after 90? Like, what are they gonna put you in jail? You're over 90.
One of my best friends is 70 years old. That man gets away with so much
You
shit.
can't get in trouble if you're 90. Like, seriously, the judge will be like, what? Just get out of here. What are you doing? You're harmless to society. You're incapable of hurting people. You don't know what's going on. You need help getting around. Like, come on now.
That being said, I don't think I'm hoping I'll still have like lots of friends of all ages. I mean, I'm friends with people of all ages. Like I said, I got one of my best friends is 70. One of my good friends is, in her 40s. So two of my good friends are in their 40s, and I have just later this month I'm doing a 21 run with one of my friends for their 21st birthday. And
what's a 21 run?
Going out to the bars for the first time on your 21st birthday,
okay.
like going bar hopping on your 21st birthday.
I didn't do that, but I get it now.
Yeah, just going all the places that you've been locked out of your whole life.
Places you couldn't go.
And you find out how not that cool and not that mysterious
how terrible it
are.
is and expensive.
Just, oh, wow, this place is just like shitty, has flat carpet and pinball machines.
Ooh, I have a question for you.
To finish my thought, is that like I don't think there's going to be like a whole lot of people who are like, I'm not going to have kids or anything, so I'm not going to have like people who are like I'm not going to have an estate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I better make my own preparations for burial and stuff like that. So if I want a big old tombstone and a statue and a plaque that says, "Here lies Rob, he died as he lived in a hot tub drunk surrounded by beautiful women," then, I have to do that all myself.
You already dug your grave. You've been digging these holes. Just go climb in one. That's free.
Is it legal though? Are you allowed to just bury?
I mean, if you're dead,
anywhere?
I
want people to know where the hole is.
Oh.
So they can go visit it.
I want a hole in the middle of the forest. Throw me in it, plant a tree, call it a day. Don't waste anything. Don't put chemicals.
That's nice. Like
don't put chemicals in me.
Like the Ben Giving tree. Like you can visit. Yes. Here lies the Ben tree.
Man, embalming people, it's crazy. What are you putting these chemicals in me for?
What about could we do something to the tree that resembles your likeness? Like could we
build a tree house on it so eventually the tree dies from getting poisoned from the nails. That'll work.
So what's your question? And then and then we should probably wrap this fucking thing up.
You're like, after that stupid statement, what's your goddamn question? What was my question? Oh, what upcharge do you guys tend to do on alcohol?
What do you mean?
Like what percentage? Like how do you know how to gauge the price and what say a beer, because it's so expensive to go to bars.
Mm-hmm.
So the upcharge, say, how do you gauge what percentage to do on like a beer?
So like industry standard for like retail or like, whatever is like, or restaurants is like 300% of the cost to the, right? So it's 3 times what you paid for it, right?
That's so if the beer is $2 for the bottle.
Right, you're charging $6.
Okay.
I will say that like it's very random at bars because at a lot of bars, like a well bottle of vodka, like you guys call wells here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I mean, wholesale, fuck man, those bottles might cost like $4 to $6 and you're getting like, 20, we're a free pour state, so you might be getting like less than 20 shots out of it sometimes. But like if you're charging $8 or $9 for the well, that's like way more than a 300% upcharge, like, right? But the lowest, like the worst money that we make is on Red Bull because Red Bull's very expensive, even at wholesale.
Yeah.
And so if you're charging $5 for a Red Bull, like if you just bought a can of Red Bull from me, it's like $5. It's probably like $2.50 at cost. So that's only like 100% markup. And then, but what's weird is like if you get a vodka Red Bull, it's a $4 upcharge on your drink, which is funny to me because you could just buy a shot of vodka and a Red Bull and it'd be $1 more and you get twice as much Red Bull. But these are the things people don't think about. They're drunk, they're partying.
What you're saying is why I really appreciated and loved when Red Bull like sponsored DZ Fest and brought like so much Red Bull for free because I know how much money they cost.
Well, they give us a lot for free. And they also come into the bar a lot and do a lot of promotional stuff.
It's cool, right?
The thing about Red Bull is much like, Jack Daniels or, whatever. If you can get your, people will just order a Jack and Coke. Now, I could give them an Evan and Coke which Evan Williams, which is essentially the same thing as Jack Daniels. The bottle even looks the same. I'm sure it comes from like the same factory, the same distillery, or whatever. It's $2 more for Jack Daniels, but their branding is such that they got into the, the zeitgeist at large. They got into the common vernacular that you just order a Jack and Coke.
Yeah, it's synonymous with like name. Whiskey and Coke.
Vodka Red Bull. You order a vodka Red Bull.
But it doesn't say a brand with vodka Red Bull. It's not like I want an absolute Red Bull.
But Red Bull is the brand. So, there are not other, you don't order a vodka Rockstar. You don't order a vodka Monster.
Right.
So a lot of places do have like turbo on the gun. Turbo is like the RC of energy drinks, and it's a bag on the gun. So and it's very cheap. But we have such a like brand loyal, especially at our bar, just because it is also kind of like a club and people like expect Red Bull. We don't do that. We have one of those. They gave us the fridge, with the design thing all over it. One of our Red Bull fridge is actually really cool. It's got it looks like an old diner booth almost. It's got like plush, or it's like padding all over it, like cushion kind of. They're like, they have lots of like merch and all this shit, like, and the Red Bull girls come by and so like we're pretty like brand loyal to Red Bull in particular. So
they're a fun company. They're a fun brand. I'm not gonna lie. They're really cool. They're really gracious and fun to work with.
Seems like they did good things for you. We got a DZ endorsement over here. Red Bull.
I mean, I don't really drink it much because it's terrible for you.
It's fucking gross.
But for a DZ fest, I sure had like 10 each day, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I don't drink that shit. It's nasty.
I had so much. I was messed up. I mean, but when you're riding on that kind of fuel, you need whatever you can get. I like needed to have it because it was rough. What time is it? Shoot. We got 9 minutes before we hit 3 hours. You want to go 3 hours, or you want to call it
9 minutes? We can do it.
Let's do it.
What's our topic? So what have we not hit?
We not hit. Let's see.
I probably should talk about music some more. Or something.
Yeah, let's talk about music. Well, first of all, tell everybody,
especially if like somebody made it this far because they like my music and they wanted to hear me talk about it.
Talk about the projects you're in again and where everyone can find them, and go in a little bit of depth about them.
So, Fell Off is a project that I started with my partner Jeff. That the genesis was that he had written a lot of guitar focused songs, in his style, and but is not a vocalist, is not somebody who is maybe as confident about putting an ABABC song together, So he would like write really cool parts or like put most of a song together. But our collaborative effort there is that he will give me demos or whatever, and I will like write the vocals to it, maybe rearrange it a little bit, and then we bring it to the band. And now the band is writing together on our latest project, where we are actually writing at band practice. And a lot of the times I won't even go because they want to write the guitar parts together, and I'm just going to be sitting there reading my book, and they don't. And if anything, me being there is almost like a hindrance to them getting stuff done. That project is a lot of fun. It's like just really like spontaneous and happening really fast, and I think it shows in the music that like we're having a good time, and that like, and one thing that was like a surprise to me about it was that when we did go on this tour, that I wasn't really sure if guitar music, if like the Utes were all that, excited about guitar music, because largely the way that I interact with the 17 to 23-year-old demographic is at hip hop shows, and raging at the SoundCloud trap shows and stuff, So I was very pleasantly surprised when it was a mostly all ages tour, and that at the spaces we played at, the demographic was very much excited 17 to 23-year-olds who are not cynical because it's all new to them. They're still very excited about this music, and they have never heard, a lot of the bands that we sound like from 10 years ago or whatever, Just to quote Steve Albini, like something funny that, I heard him say in an interview one time was that like, it's amazing how much music progressed from like the 50s, like especially guitar music, like from like 40s with like jump blues, Fats Domino and all that stuff, to like, to Chuck Berry, then to Elvis and all the rock and roll stuff in the 50s. And then in the 60s, like, then we really start to take shape and see like weirder band names and the idea like what is a band, what concept records and obviously like What's Going On by Marvin Gaye changed everything, and like the progression of music like changed so much. And then the 70s and then and the 80s we have a lot of electronic music, and it's like you hit the 90s and it's like done. All right, we did it all. Now we're just going to recycle everything. And hip hop is the one thing, one of the genres that has really like taken form and evolved in so many crazy ways. And,
Absolutely.
And same thing with electronic music, but but guitar music has largely stayed the same since the early 90s.
Yeah.
And like I feel like Swirlies was one of the last bands to like really shatter people's expectations of what guitar music can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's still all very new to these younger people. Young people just they want to buy your merch. They want to listen to you for the next 10 years. They're going to be the people who in 10 years are like stuck in that era, right? When they're 30, they're going to be like, I still listen to Fell Off. So my other project, Sunnyland, is me and my brother, and it's much more your kind of traditional indie rock. The songs that I played on the live session with you today, one of those is from the release that we just put out. It's just called EP1. The EPs are just going to be numbered, Mm-hmm. Lots of music videos coming out. We filmed 3 music videos for it so far.
Oh, cool.
3 out of the 4 songs have videos. Might make one for the 4th. We're still trying to figure that out.
It's like Ben Gibbard style.
What is?
Death Cab for Cutie. I think it was Transatlantic.
Plans had a video for every.
Yeah, Plans, that's what it was. Plans.
A little more shock, like a lot more shotgun than that. They're all just like us, like just like hanging out and playing the songs, and like, it's like very low budget videos and very just fun, and us just having a good time. And a lot of it was filmed in Spokane around the places we grew up and stuff. So there's a lot of respects being paid to my, my upbringing, where I came from and stuff. That's what Sunnyland's all about. Very much a brother band, very much like kind of encapsulating all the stuff I like about being in a softer rock kind of indie band, because at the end of the day, that is my background, Rob Joynes, Joynes, is like you can find my music anywhere, and I it's a bit of a patchwork of different kinds of music and genres, but it is still kind of your Sun Kill Moon kind of stuff, and Kath Bloom inspired. She's one of my biggest influences, and lyrically, so that's everywhere. You can hear all that stuff, and I've been working on a lot of very different kinds of things with my solo stuff, and I think it's going to take a lot of different directions as time goes on. The last few shows that I've played have been just with me and a laptop and a sampler, and it's much more like kind of sound bath, like noise collage kind of stuff. They are still very much like songs, they do have structure, but it's much more experimental. So far, it has not landed. Nobody likes it. But if I release it, maybe people will be a little more excited about it. I think that maybe people just don't know what to expect when I show up with a laptop, and all they've ever seen me play is like guitar or piano and with a band with a 4 on the floor, drums, and so still trying to figure that out. I am self-recording an EP right now that doesn't have any drums, and it's just more like singer-songwriter, kind of more keyboard focused. Sunnyland has kind of become the outlet for my guitar songs, and I've taken the more abstract stuff that I really just can't do with a band or whatever, and that's what I'm doing now with my solo stuff. So
there's a lot of projects going on.
Yeah, that keeps me busy, and the last thing I'll do is, like I said, if you made it this far, I'm gonna shout out a few Seattle bands that you should check out.
Yeah, you should.
So Apples with Moya is a great band. They're coming out with a new record soon that is going to blow your mind. It is so good. I got to hear the leak, and I'm really excited about it. Dead Family Dog, kind of inactive right now, but they have a great release on Spotify. Let's see, who else am I excited about? Man, like, it's like as soon as I said that, those were the only two that I could think of. That's like what I've been listening to the most. My good friend Luke Hogfoss just put out a great record called Florida, also done by Sam Rawson at the hall where I recorded my record, and I've been listening to that a lot and really vibing on it. Yeah, those are my 3 recs.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you, Rob. This was fun.
Thanks so much for having me.
Made me laugh, made me think, made me giggle. It was a good time. We've had a fun day today. We had a really fun man date today.
We did. We went to
Rue.
Great breakfast
Breakfast,
place.
had beignets we shared.
Beignets.
Cold brew. Then we did 2 video live session here, right behind me. And then we did a 3-hour podcast.
This man made me play guitar for the first time in like a month. I haven't even like picked up a guitar and strummed it.
That's right.
My
That's what I do.
My fingers are feeling it.
That's good.
And
a lot of good content today.
Yeah.
We're going to have a fun night too.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Rob, for coming all the way out from Seattle, Washington, and for sharing your music today. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to hear it and edit it and work on it. And yeah, check out the bands you just mentioned and check out more Seattle bands. It's a great scene. I've always enjoyed it. And thank you for listening. Ciao.